Ever heard the crowd roar louder than you can hear? Ever seen a grown man reduced to tears? Ever had thousands of friends that would carry your load? Ever seen a sparrow in the air on the London road? I'll show you green you've never seen, you won't believe your eyes. Brothers and sisters on every single side. Smiles on those faces, you'll see them from far and wide. Tell me, have you ever seen paradise? Tell me, have you ever seen paradise? Ever been so excited you can't sit still? Jumped out of your seat, I promise you will. Ever had your arms around someone you never met? Heard them sing a song that you'll never forget? Ever had a love so strong that it's all you feel? Come with me, I'll show you it's real. I'll show you green you've never seen, you won't believe your eyes. Brothers and sisters on every single side. Smiles on those faces, you'll see them from far and wide. Tell me, have you ever seen paradise? Tell me, have you ever seen paradise? Oh, tell me, have you ever seen paradise?
Hail, hail, and welcome to the HomeBhoys live podcast here on Tuesday, the 14th of April. We couldn't do last night, the 13th, because we're all very superstitious. So, here we are, Tuesday night, coming like a live.
Monday the 13th?
You never know, 13th's an unlucky number. You know what I mean?
Never heard of that before.
To be fair, half, but we did speak about this at length and we decided to can it because of the number 13.
That's exactly what it was, because it had nothing to do with baseball. Oh, fuck, did I let that out of the bag? Anyway, folks, welcome back. We're here to chat again here on HailHailMedia. Welcome to, if you're looking for balanced opinion, in-depth analysis, and understanding of the game, you've come to the wrong fucking rodeo, cowboy. So, this is a HomeBhoys show. This is a HomeBhoys show where what we do is every week we break down. That's it, really, we just break down. Speaking of breaking down, our iTunes feed has gone to the shitter. We don't know why, because none of us has a clue what we're doing for a start.
Well, we kind of know.
We kind of know. We know that there's a thing called FeedBurner, which sounds like a fitness regime. But it's something to do with their links or something. So it isn't uploading on iTunes. So for anybody who's listening on iTunes, it's pointless because they're not going to get this fucking till it's fixed. So if you're listening live or you know anybody who downloads through iTunes, you can get the Spreaker app, which probably isn't as good as the iTunes app, but all the shows are going to be on there because they're going straight to Spreaker. They actually are there. We're not losing them. This isn't
to be fair, the Spreaker app's it's pretty good now. Like,
it's not bad.
It's not bad, like, no. You can
Can you download it? Can you download? Because I always thought you had to listen to it through a...
Well, if you've got an Android phone, you can download it onto your phone, like, not onto the app, but just it'll download straight onto your phone, like.
See, I couldn't. I've not got an Android phone.
If you've got an Android, you just got a speaker, hit download it, just download like it's on a computer, like, no?
Well, I was listening that you had to always like have 3G and stream it.
Well, that's the way I would do it too. I don't think I can download it.
But to be fair, I think like now everywhere's 4G, 3G is probably the worst you'll get, like, no. So
aye. So we
should talk about the next couple of days. Spreaker are actually going to help us try and sort it. It's nothing to do with them. It's not their fault. Everything's fine at their end. So I'm just waiting on Mr. Graham Wilson from Beyond the Waves to get back to me because he's got all the logins for people. So Graham, if you're listening, email me, please.
It'll be sorted soon, so if you want to go back and listen to last week's show, because we had Alf and the boys went on, and it was a good chat. Last week was a good show for anybody that didn't hear.
A lot of people actually, to be fair, went. I think there was 1,000 people went into Spreaker to get it anyway, so it's not a total loss. Like.
Jim Fitzpatrick has said you can download using the podcast manager too. I don't even know what that is, but there you go. You can use the podcast manager anyway.
Because you can go into the Spreaker and grab that RSS feed and stick it in your own thing, like.
There's people out there listening to this, and we are speaking Dutch. I mean,
you're speaking Dutch to me.
I can imagine. You're the one I'm talking
about. Jason was an IT specialist.
Aye, that's back when. Have you turned it off and on again? Was a
back when he was working in PC World.
You ever been to PC World? Fuck me, what a nightmare. Anyway, listen, let's get down to talking about what we're here to talk about, which is Celtic. Joined by the Reverend David Harper. You in the rat again this week?
I'm not, man. I'm banished again. So, believe it or not, I've got a soup pot full of gin and ice.
What? Have you got a ladle as well?
It's not a soup pot. It's one of the pots that's got holes in the bottom, like for a steamer or something. But 2 handles on the side. And also, so what I've done was I poured four glasses of gin. Because my balls in the optics, I couldn't be bothered to take them off. So I got 4 glasses, put a gin in each. I got a pint tumbler full of ice, put them in the pot, carried up the stairs. So that's what I'm.
Are you bourgeoisie alcoholic?
There we go.
That sounds like when the Brits used to come around my ma's house when I was younger, they'd fucking banging the pots. You know what I mean?
One of your granny's been.
Exactly. So we're joined by Harper. We're joined by Mr. Jason Higgins out there in Wishaw.
How you doing, boys?
Not too bad, all good. Again, Paul Larkin isn't with us. He's living out his dream out in Australia. I don't think he's going to come back.
I think he's living out your dream.
That's fucking unbelievable. Why look at these photographs going, Jesus Christ.
Well, he did say he was going away for 3 weeks, so you know what I mean?
Oh, don't rub it in. Not I mean. Keep it to yourself. But it looks like he's getting an amazing time down there. It looks like the film's being really, really responded to greatly. He's getting all kinds of merchandise and shirts handed to him. He's got green rooms. He's all over the place, so fair play to him. Great to see. Can't wait to have him back and have a chat and tell us how everything went.
Did you see the Sydney?
Aye. I did.
The polo shirt cracker, eh?
Absolute belter. And that
I'm in talks about how we get that delivered to here.
delivered. His one or just one in general?
Well, one for me. I don't know if you want one. Do you want one?
Do I want
You
one?
just got Lenny. Yours after you go.
Go well with them trousers, man, 'cause it's a black top, you know, you're not going looking smart as fuck. Anyway, so, right, enough said about that. Right, so we'll get down to talking about football. 2-0 last week against Partick. Penalty from Chris Commons. And a smashing goal from Stefan Johansson. From a John Gazzetti flick. Greatly moved. Some great football play. Jason, you were there, I'm assuming?
Yep. It was one of the games that was, I don't know, I expected more, but they were well on top, and it was just, I don't know, it's just something wasn't right. It just wasn't like, and a few weeks ago, you know, it was the free-flowing football and whatever. I don't know, they've just kind of lost a wee bit of their mojo in the last few weeks, I don't know. They were well on top, could have won easy, but 2-0, you'll settle for it, but then obviously we went on to Saturday again, and again they weren't really firing all cylinders. I don't know, I don't know, just maybe a few players maybe take a wee dip, but and
Yeah, I disagree with
but, do you think so?
Well, the part of the game I thought they played some really slick, fast,
did,
played at a good tempo. Like the finishing wasn't there, like, no.
I know, and that's
passed them off the park, like.
We did, you know, they were never going to beat us, you know, it was easy, mate. But it just like a few weeks ago, you know, I thought we kept saying some teams in the going to be in the receiving end of hiding, but it doesn't look as if it's ever going to come now with this team for whatever reason. I don't know. There just seems to, I don't know. To me, there just seems to be something missing. I don't know. Is it a lethal finisher?
Right.
Jason,
let's not be about the bush. I think it is. Just not got that guy with a kind of aura up front. You know what I mean? That puts them away. They've not got the guy Hooper, if you like.
I know, and I love Griff. I think he's brilliant, but he isn't like he's not been playing like a penalty box striker. He'll get you some fantastic goals with the one at Inverness, but I think you're right, mate. I think we need a finisher, and they're no easy to come by. But I'm more than happy the way the season's went. I'm not going to be any critical at all. You know, it's still happy days, and I enjoyed the Partick game. It was good weather as well, and it's good to. That's what I was saying to my mate sitting next to us. It's great to be sitting watching a game and you're not the slightest bit cold.
Aye,
I'll never catch on.
You know, and it's refreshing just to be sitting there and know like stamping your feet and things like that. It's just like these are the bits of the season that you really like because obviously the weather kind of picks up, you know. And but I'm enjoying it, but. I don't know. I wanted us to kind of push on and towards the end of the season to absolutely batter teams, and it's kind of not worked out that way for various reasons. You know, I can't put my finger on it. As you say, Harper, they're still playing well enough, but it just seems to be something kind of missing there. So, I've rambled away a wee bit about the Thistle game, but I was happy with the result. But I'd like to see a few more goals.
I think as well though with the Thistle game, man. I mean, when they went down to 10 men, right? That was it. They just came out the second half to defend. Like, no, there was a couple of ways. Like one Gordon had the same in the first half, and then the one at the end, the second half. But they just sat in and they defended, and they actually defended pretty well. Like, no, it was hard to break them down. A lot of their play was obviously before we come to the edge of the box. Sort of like loads of quick passing, and I don't know. They were just there to defend, and it's just hard to play against that sometimes. Like, no, I think probably when we could have when we went an extra man up top. Had the man advantage and maybe created a wee bit more sort of men in the box. I don't know, I still think that one man up front in these situations is a wee bit isolated sometimes. And I thought Gazzetti actually done alright. He kind of had a hand in both the goals, so.
He kind of did, but I've made my mind up now that he's not going to be our player next year, and I'm not really too bothered about it. I'm a bit upset about Skepovic, whatever's happened there, you know, behind the scenes. We don't see him training, but obviously we laid out that money for him, and you think to yourself, we're going to win the league, and we've got Griffiths there. they kind of bring Guidetti on for whatever reason, I don't know, because I don't think he's going to be a player. So why not have Skepovic? Unless in training he's utter guff. And
Must be that, man.
It must be.
O'Donnell doesn't seem the type that he brought him in. Do you know what I mean? It's not like it was a player that he inherited or that. He signed him, and it must just be that he's just not doing it in training and that. And he's not, because everybody else is getting a chance.
Do you think Ronnie Dyler signed him? What do you think?
I
Celtic's
don't
radar, because he was no longer in the door when we signed him. I kind of think they were maybe looking at him. I don't know. Maybe it was John Parker. I don't really know how it works behind the scenes, but I'm not entirely sure it was kind of Ronnie Dyler, because Ronnie Dyler's past, being the team from Norway, from Godset, he's not going to be like eyeing up guys playing in Spain to sign for the Norwegian team, you know what I mean? So I don't think he would have been, but I don't know, maybe the guy was, maybe that was a first recommendation, but I don't know. He doesn't seem his type of player either. But there you go, I don't know. And I'm a bit hacked off with that as well, but I loved Guidetti at the start, and he'd won me over, you know, I'd have doing cartwheels if we'd give him a permanent contract after his first 8-9 games, but now it's kind of all went a wee bit. I don't know. I was going to get
a Guidetti tattoo at one point.
I did love him. I thought it was brilliant. Everybody did. You know what I mean? But obviously,
Joe was a hero.
Listen. I said for 3 years in a row, Chris Commons would be the star of Celtic, and he never lived up to it until the 1 year I said he wouldn't. So don't be taking any advice from me.
So it's your fault. Guidetti's fucked.
It's absolutely my fault. I take 100% of the blame. I think you're right, Harp. I thought Partick played well in terms of like playing with 10 men. I mean, I thought we played some great football, but you're also right, Jason. There's something at the end that's just missing. There's just a killer instinct, and Johansson's having to provide that, like he did. You know, scoring was a smashing goal, great wee flick by Guidetti, but you want somebody up there who's just banging in goals, and Griffiths is great at that, which he proved the weekend. But there's something. You're right. There's something is missing up front, like, because everything's fantastic until we get to the box, and then I mean, fair enough, we hit the crossbar like in the first 6 minutes against Partick, right, with Van Dijk. I'm sorry, the first minute. But I mean, there's something just not there. You want a regular striker to be in there getting his foot on those balls, as opposed to like Johansson or Van Dijk, even though they're great at it. But you know, there's just somebody missing. There's somebody we need to get. I don't know who it is, but we need him soon, next year, hopefully.
Jason, you mentioned it was a nice night and all that. Obviously, the game wasn't on TV, so what was the crowd like? What was the attendance like? I don't think Partick had many there, did they?
They didn't know. I actually
strange.
I know a Partick Thistle supporter, and I think they must have about 300-400 if you're lucky, maybe 300. But crowd seemed okay. No, the worst crowd I've had this season. And I've just had a text there saying, did we play last Wednesday? For some no-all arsehole, a mate of mine, but I think it was last Tuesday. There we go. So.
No, it was last Wednesday, was it not?
Was it last Wednesday?
Was we done the show on the Tuesday?
8th of April.
It says, did we have a game last? I don't know what he's on about. Was it last Wednesday?
Who's that? Just name and shame him.
Jerry. No, it's not that. He's texting me again. But, all right. I get it. Right, I met him after the game. That's what it is. He's slagging himself off. Apologies. Aye, he was rotten drunk.
All right.
I get it. I went for a few pints after the game. That's right. So, So, what was the question again, Harper?
What was the crowd like?
The crowd, it was average. It was all right.
40,000 or something? Or no, it was about 30,000?
Between 35 and 40, I would say.
According to according to the BBC website, it's 43,784.
I don't know how they count. I think they might be counting season tickets. No, regardless, I don't know. But it was fine. You know, it was decent crowd, decent game, and you just kind of want to get towards the end of the season now. And I think all roads lead to Handle at the weekend. Obviously, this is to me the big one, Inverness. We'll cover that later on.
Yeah, I heard there was a bit of bother outside before the game. No, I heard
the Partick Thistle game.
Partick Thistle fans.
Was that Liam Parr talking to the boys' home?
Al-Jabbar, you know?
Well, I didn't see any. I don't know.
I read that Celtic Minded, sort of, what do you call them? What do you call their crew again?
What's the kind of mind? The Fairhill.
The famous 46.
North Glasgow Express or something, is it?
Is it? I don't know.
I heard that.
I was in the town before the game, went for a few pints with a couple of guys who used to work with, and then I ended up heading up to the game, met a load of my mates outside it, and then into the game, but didn't see any. I was on the other side, but so I didn't see any. I don't know.
So, speaking of Inverness, let's move on to the Inverness game then. 1-1. Again, see the thing about the Inverness game was, see when Griffith scored, smashing goal, which is, it just proves he'd shoot from anywhere and he can't score from anywhere. But see when that happened,
defending,
terrible defending.
I think there's some goal.
Smashing ball to Scott Brown to pick him out, and him to have the pace to get it. But at first I thought it took a deflection, but you watch it in slow motion, it just bounced perfectly into the corner. But right, see at that point, 3 minutes in, you're going to yourself, here we go. Somebody's getting a scalping, and then 60 seconds later, it's one each. And then it's just stalemate then for the rest of the game. And even I thought Armstrong had his poorest game. I thought Johansson wasn't necessarily at it. Beaton wasn't great. Midfield wasn't fantastic. I thought Scott Brown was probably the only one in there that kind of merited, any kind of points. But again, it's just something was missing. Do
you know what was interesting? I don't know if you watched after the game. I don't know if you just switched off right away or you listened to Charlie Christie talking after the game. Did you?
No.
Charlie Christie obviously played with Celtic, but obviously he's a big Inverness man. He was a manager in that. And although it didn't look that bad on watching the TV, the pitch, he was talking about, because John Hughes had brought up in his interview about the pitch being bad and it stopped them from playing football. So you can only imagine what it does to players like we've got. And Charlie Christie was saying after the game that it's time for Inverness to invest in a plastic pitch. He was talking about how good the Kilmarnock one was because how bad the pitch is there for trying to play football on it. And I don't know if that's kind of, because you're talking about Armstrong, Johansson, Beaton, all guys who like to put their foot in the ball and play a bit of football. And a few times Beaton was getting the ball caught under him and that, and he was getting caught. And I just don't know if that comes in it, because he was saying when they put him under soil heating, it meant now they can't spike the pitch or anything, they can't get proper drainage on it because they're under soil heating, because they can't go, because it's so close to under the surface.
They'll damage it.
So, and obviously they have pretty bad weather up in Inverness, it's not the greatest climate and that, so I mean, it didn't look bad watching it, but it was funny. John Hughes mentioned that. It wasn't just talking about that game. He says recent games are struggling to play football on the pitch. And Charlie Christie mentioned it. And Charlie Christie actually said the players, even the ground staff, all want to move to a plastic pitch. So maybe that's someone that's in Inverness's future. And it's maybe a big part to play how, because often we go up there and we just seem to be, I always thought maybe it's at the early kickoffs, it's up there and it's cold. And maybe it's just a lot to do with the pitch. You don't know. And I think it does have an effect when you've got players that like to play with the ball on the ground, no?
Do the ground staff not do themselves out of a job if you get a plastic pitch, no?
Well, they still be needed, I suppose, for, I don't know.
Well, I don't know, they G pitches, I don't know, they take some upkeep as well. I don't actually know, but I think you need to do stuff for them, but at the end of the day, it brings loads of revenue for the club. Personally, I'd kick Inverness and Ross County out of the league. I've made my feelings known about that. I don't think they bring anything to the table at all. But and we struggle up there all the time. I think a lot is to do with the park. It's a soulless atmosphere. It's next to the water, that freezing. It's just they don't bring it to the table for me, And I know they're there on merit, but
they're staying doing it a place in Europe.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? And you can't really say. I mean, I know what you're saying, but you can't say they didn't bring them to the table because they're sitting third in the league.
Well, make them constrain in my way, and every team's got to take a minimum of 500 tickets for each away game. See how long they last.
I understand what you're saying. I completely agree with that.
See the thing. The way they played against us, did they have a shot and goal apart from their goal? They were horrendous. They were kicking anything that moved. They were play acting. They just basically spoiled the game, but that's their prerogative. It's up to us to break it down. There's an art of defending in football just as much as there's an art of attacking. It's all in the game, and they're absolutely entitled to do that. It's their prerogative. But I just hope at the weekend we kind of make them work, and we get behind them and get a couple of goals, because it's.
It'll be a different game at Hampden, man, that's for sure. Right?
Absolutely.
Well, do you know what someone was saying? I don't know where I read it, or someone was talking about it. They say that playing the big Hampden Park, and somebody says when you look at actually the actual sizes of Inverness Stadium and Hampden Park, it's very similar.
I just think, but for the surface, Jason.
Aye, well, we've seen digging up as well, but that was brutal when we played the Zombies. But it was slightly better in the final. But hopefully they've done a bit of work on it, and it's okay. But we're playing on the second day as well, so it might be cut up a bit for the Saturday.
So I'm just reading the stats here, Jason. You're right about the shots. It says 4 shots, 1 on target, which would have been the goal. But I also think there was a shot before that goal because that was a rebound of a shot.
Aye, well, it's the same move. They scored with the same move, and Celtic's defending was atrocious for that. Again, back to the point you made. I think Beaton's been really poor. Obviously since his injury. I think the boy's brilliant, and I'm not going back to slating him for whatever.
See, I thought he was good against Partick.
Partick maybe, but as I say, they're down to 10 men, and he was strolling about a bit, and he was spraying the ball a bit. But I thought against Inverness, he was terrible.
He was. As I said, there was loads of times he seemed to get the ball caught under his feet, and he was getting caught in possession. And
but he did with the Park as well. But when you've not got a midfield fully functioning, you're toiling to make chances, and it's just in the way we play, and it was a bit frustrating, a bit of a frustrating day. But what do you do? You get bad days at the office, and I don't know. You know the mindset of players. I know Dyer they'll not want them to get in that mindset. But see, when you think things have won, do you know what I mean? You think you're over the line in leagues, you can kind of switch. Look at Hearts. Do you know, Hearts were destroying everybody in that league now. They've chucked it out on now. And you've seen it with us under Lenny when the league well wrapped up. Players just, at the end of the day, we're not over the winning line yet, and they should still be playing for their places, and we've got a semi-final and hopefully a cup final to go. But when you get that kind of lead and you're at the stage, you don't really need to win, because if you draw the game, you've still got plenty in the tank. I don't know, it's just a mindset. I think all sportsmen now get like that. But it's a wee bit frustrating the supporters.
So you think it's just complacency then? Just kind of at this point being like, we're going to win anyway?
That's a mixture of a load of things, Joe, probably, but I think not having a lethal striker plays its part. But in the midfield, when you're playing teams like Inverness, how many players did they have defending every time we got to their box? We weren't getting any width, we weren't making any clear-cut chances, we were in plenty of the ball, but we weren't, there wasn't their goalkeeper was the man of the match, put it that way. And it's just a fact of life. Since they've got promoted, we've struggled up there constantly.
Aye. I mean, they had 2 goalkeepers. Your mum
even all the way back to Martin O'Neill's days, no?
Really? We struggle up there. And even when you look at Ross County, many times we've went there one easy. Not very often. It's just get them out.
Get them out because they're hard to play. Must be the altitude.
It's a bit like La Paz, isn't it?
What was the story with your man, the goalkeeper, going off with the fucking?
Did you see that? The thing is, it was hardly a challenge. It was nothing to do with the challenge. Just entitled to go for the ball, but the way the guy twisted his knee. The hell, that's seeing the boys just come back for a bad injury.
That was his first game back. Dislocated kneecap, and you can just imagine how painful that'd be, like, no? You see him getting oxygen going off the pitch, like, no?
Aye, I know. And to be fair to the guy that came in these places, he did make a couple of good saves. It wasn't like he'd made 40 good, but he didn't do anything wrong.
Well, he's been there a long time. He was at Aberdeen.
He's been around, He's been around.
That's right. But so don't know, just a wee bit of a mess sort of thing weekend. And I don't know, it wasn't great. But what do you do?
I know, but I mean, it's good to also, like, even to get a draw and still feel deflated at this stage of the season when we're playing so well. You know what I mean? Because it is obviously you care and you want to see a win, but I think all season I've been waiting on somebody getting an absolute doing, and it hasn't happened yet.
And what about the Celtic fans that never get in? Well, late. 2 turnstiles opened. Seemingly there was some local cup final or whatever scheduled. So the traffic was horrendous. But guys paying all that money to go up there and not getting in to see the game.
20 minutes after the game, or something.
It was more than that. After half time when they showed the boys outside and the still.
See, the funny thing was, right? They showed it about 10 minutes, right?
Aye.
And there was a woman in the queue, right? And then I went back about 10 minutes later, she was still there.
I seen that,
And I'm like, that's not even moving. I couldn't understand it.
I know.
Wish you had a twin.
Possibly.
But aye, and that's not good enough. You know, the guys, obviously, Inverness, they should have been handing a voucher to the guys and getting refunded their ticket money. The amount of money the guys have spent to go up to Inverness and then not get in, missing the 2 goals, and not get in for seeing half of the game or whatever. It's just not good enough. If you turn up there in time for the kick-off, it's their duty to get you in.
Aye.
It's just fit the fans again, treat it like utter shite.
That's not good enough at any level. And you remember the days before TV, games would get delayed.
Aye.
Because there was stuff like that, but because of TV, obviously they've got to start with time and all that. It's a stickle.
Aye, so they Celtic know who the fans are because they've got the names and all the tickets. And if they fans get in there, do you know what they say to them? Right, they've got a list of the tickets that's no went in and missed the start of the game because of their fault. They can easily put them back, contact Celtic and say whoever was with these tickets, full refund. There's the money.
Aye.
But it's piss because football fans again getting treated like absolute shite. As I say, get them out. Celtic fans should just boycott them in Ross County. I want to be along and saying, right, can we get back to the HailHailMedia, please?
And you know what, you're guaranteed they're going to be one of the 3 away games we get after the split. We'll be back there again.
And the thing is, I don't go there. I don't go there in Ross County. But every Celtic fan is like, please don't give us another away game up there.
Guaranteed.
You know, played there twice, having to go up there again. It's just, I mean, at the end of the day, okay, their supporters, they need to do that every second week. But how many? 40 of them?
Aye.
You know, how long does it take to drive from Glasgow to Inverness?
Glasgow to Inverness, you're looking at 3 hours.
Is that minimum or maximum?
You can take it, if you're battering it, you can maybe do it 2.5. I would say 2.5, but some supporters buses, I mean, they're leaving there at 6 to go to that game, 6 in the morning.
Right enough, because it's fucking it's early kick-off.
Right.
Remember the days when we used to go up to Aberdeen for the 3 o'clock? Alright, fair enough, we used to leave at 9 in the morning because we wanted to go up there for 12, like,
Aye.
for a bit carry on, but
I can mind the days you were going in all double deckers and stuff like that and stop at Perth for an hour on the way to Aberdeen.
Polishing your brogues? Fucking double deckers? Fucking where were you born?
Hey, no brogues in our bus, mate, that's from our side. But I mean, we went up there in double deckers and everything, but
I have to say they were like my favourite away days.
They were. When we used to get the old beach end, I was never at Pataudry when we got when we get the end, remember the one the Celtic fan attacked Wee Stratton, the end opposite the beach end.
And I was never there.
Then they moved us to the beach end. The beach end was brilliant. They were the best days of the away games up there. I remember the 2 each. Aye, remember the 2 each in the cup. We were getting beat 2-0. We come back, drew 2 each. I think Billy Stark scored. And what a night that was. It was a Wednesday night. Oh, it was amazing. But they were the days, man. Loved it. But
I can remember we kidnapped the boy. This would have been about the centenary year. I can't remember the game or that. Like,
is he still alive?
This fella Aberdeen fell in love with one of the bus, and he kind of came on the bus, and we were like, "Look, you're going to have to go off of that." And he was like, "Oh, but I want to see her." And I was like, "Fuck you!" Then we just drove off, and we took him to Arbroath. We set him free in Arbroath, and I don't know how with him, but
was it worth his time?
I don't know. Maybe I had to go for supper in Arbroath. We always stopped at Arbroath on the way back. Like,
oh man! So we've done Partick.
Just got a text from James. It was the Paddock. That's what the end was called.
The Paddock.
James the band.
Aye. He's sitting down at the minute.
So we've done Partick, we've done Inverness. What time is Jim coming on it?
He's going to come on. He said 15 minutes, about, I don't know, 10 minutes ago. So he should be on it imminently. So we're getting Jim coming on. He used to be with the Celtic Great Society. And Jim will say his spiel about what's happening tomorrow. And the Foodbank collection that's happening pre-game tomorrow night is a part of Walfred's legacy, and it's 100 years to the anniversary of Brother Walfred's death. So this will be commemorating him, but I won't go into too much about it. Jim speaks a hell of a lot better than me, and he's the man at the helm. So
Fat Club's back tonight.
Is it?
Oh, fuck.
Yes.
Well, I'm back on the sweeties and that after the end of Lent, so I'll be.
I need Joe to get a pen, bit of paper.
I have a pen and a paper, but do you need it right now? Like?
Huh?
Do you need it right now?
No, but when we do it, I'm just going to. I've got tweets and all that, so I'll just read them out and you can write them down.
Oh,
I didn't have a note of it last week, so
I
I
get some-
want to kind of go back to this is ground zero again.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad because I'm in the same boat. So anyway, to fill some time, there was the only story I could find that wasn't like was football related that I thought was kind of interesting. Liam Henderson hasn't wasted any time in settling in Norway. Have you seen the photographs of his?
I haven't seen anything about this, no.
Well, despite the fact that like on Twitter, all the Rosenborg fans are like we're calling for him to get on, and he came on, they're all saying he's playing well. He's also on Instagram. He's also seemed to hooked up with some local Norwegian model.
Really?
Hey,
Who's 18. How old is he? He's about 18, isn't he?
Yeah, he's about 18.
Her name's Nicole Sund or Sunday, whatever it is. But fair play to you, Liam. Doing well, mate.
Happy days.
Can't be angry with you. I mean, and they've also put up a couple of pictures of Nicole's work, shall we say? And Liam boy, fair play to you. I mean,
what Instagram account is that?
I'll send you the link to the article I found it on because apparently he deleted it right off Instagram,
right.
which gives me the feeling that Liam Henderson may have a girlfriend back in Glasgow.
Aye, and hopefully she doesn't listen to this show.
But so it's gone off Instagram. But apparently he's fitting in pretty well. Fair play to him.
So we're just friends.
Aye. Well, here, listen, this kind of guy you don't be friends with. You know what I mean?
Aye. Did any of you see the one Andy Murray talking about sticking folk in it? Did you ever see the one Andy Murray? It was the Davis Cup.
He mentioned something
Like
about something.
Oh, it was funny, but then it was cringeworthy. He's one about his Davis Cup teammates. He's he's been enjoying in Glasgow. He's got a wee girlfriend. You want to give her a wee mention and that? And you see the guy's face drop, and Murray couldn't really hear him. The guy's like, I've already got a girlfriend back home. And you see Andy Murray's face going, oh, shit, you know.
Oh, no.
I've stuck him right in this here.
Andy Murray got married, didn't he? It was last week.
Aye, congratulations to the Andy boy.
I like Andy Murray.
Yep.
Went back to Dunblane today as well, which was nice.
Aye.
I would actually go as far to say Andy Murray is probably Scotland's greatest ever sportsman.
Well, he also says there. He also put in there.
There you go. I would say he's Scotland's greatest ever.
I'd say
in any kind of sport.
Was your man Chris White? Is he Scottish?
Aye, he's Scottish, aye, but I think Andy Murray's like the feats that he's reached at tennis, you know, and probably the hardest era ever. I'm not a tennis expert, but he's got three of the best players that's ever played the game playing at the same time as him, and he's still chipping in the majors. I think it's phenomenal.
It is. It's amazing because you think about it. Like, I mean, he's lost all those guys too. You know what I mean? But
Somewhere John Higgins is snapping his cues in half.
He'd vote for Andy Murray.
So they snap them in half, John. Send them else.
Send them first and send them the others.
You've got another 50 of them.
Sorry, if he snaps them all, we can send them some.
Yeah, I played.
Who else is Scottish big star in the past? I don't know.
You go to Alan, Jim Watt, folk like, you know, you've got...
What about the racing driver? His name is Celtic fan.
Jackie Stewart, Daryl
Daryl David Coulthard as well, is he Scottish?
And you're looking at Dennis Law, Dalglish, folk like that, you know, football players. But
what about the greatest of all time, Big Daddy?
Was he Scottish?
Yeah, he always wore the Scottish flag, didn't he?
He wasn't it? Shirley Crabtree.
Was he? I have
See, you just be quiet. You stick to music, right?
I have vague recollections.
Jokey Wilson.
He's thinking Keith Bella.
I have vague recollections of Big Daddy with a Scottish flag.
See the shite you talk.
Andy Robbins and Hercules the Bear.
Why did I think Big Daddy was Scottish?
Because you're a clown.
Here we got Jim Blythe coming in. I wish you'd have come in 5 minutes ago, Jim, and saved the day. Jim, how you doing, mate? Oh, Jim, you there? Jim?
Hello.
Are you there, Jim? Can you hear us?
Hey.
Oh, he's on again.
Can you hear us, Jim?
I'll try calling him back. He's online anyway, obviously. Oh shit, I should have started another call.
See as well, just like end of it's listening to this live. Well done, yous, because at the end of the day, Champions League semi-finals are on listening to us live. And do you know what? I was talking to my neighbour there. There's a Madrid derby on the night.
Aye, there is.
And does anybody really care about it?
Nah, mate.
See, like,
some guy here, like.
See, like 20 years ago, I'd have been all excited about watching this.
Hear me, boys.
Can you hear me, Jim? How you doing?
Jim, can you hear us? Can you hear us, Jim? I don't think Jim can hear us.
Text Jim. Give me a second. Dude, he's got the phone number. Tell him to phone in.
Makes more sense. Jim, can you hear us? Every time I talk to somebody like that, it feels like I'm calling a spirit. Can you hear me, Sydney? Can you hear me? Are you there, Sydney?
See if you can get Big Daddy on the...
Big Daddy. Here, listen. Oh, fuck's sake. I definitely have childhood recollections of Big Daddy waving a Scottish flag.
That's going to be remembered. Like, that's going to be done.
That's Big Daddy.
I remember Shirley Crabtree.
Shirley Crabtree.
Is that not a name for Culloden? Shirley Crabtree.
I don't know.
He was one of Rob Roy's men, wasn't he?
I'm determined to find him.
Is that no Brigadoon? You're thinking
Brigadoon, aye. Is Shirley Crabtree, did they have a dog called Greyfriars Bobby?
What was it?
There's absolutely I'm just reading this. There's absolutely no Scottish connection to this.
You're joking. Yeah, just for a minute there, joke.
He's from Halifax, for fuck's sake.
Poor guy as well. They turned him in his grave, didn't they?
He's dead?
Aye, I think he's dead. I'll find out where his grave is at the weekend and maybe we'll have a bunch of thistles in it.
Yeah, you'll see there's a wee white dog sitting up there.
I saw that.
Who am I thinking of then?
We've got no idea how your mind works, comrade. None at all.
I think any Scottish wrestlers apart from Andy Robbins.
Fucking, I don't know. Maybe I'm colourblind.
Mick McManus, he knows Scottish. There's a guy, Mick McManus. That's what they cried. McManus. They called him Mick after Mick McManus, the wrestler. That's what you were thinking about, wasn't it? Aye, Joe.
That's exactly who I was thinking of. I have a tattoo here on my arm of his face. So are we getting Jim on?
Aye, I've told him to dial the number, so hopefully he'll dial the number and that'll be him in.
Happy days.
So what about what do you want?
There'll be no TV coverage of Celtic TV or nothing, will there?
No, nothing. Radio coverage, and I've listened. It's not 1982. I'm not listening to the football on the radio.
I'm going to listen to the radio.
I can't. I don't know if I can
listen to the last game that we can start and get Celtic TV audio, like Tom Boyd and Paul Kirby.
So you're probably right.
And they're such a good describery of the football, they'll just like being there.
Describery? What the fuck is that?
Listen, let's see you drink a soup potty fucking gin and one's right. You don't even know what country.
Somebody said that's called a colander. That's called a colander, like a tin.
It's not a colander. It's one of those things that's got 3 levels for putting steam and veg and all that.
It's a steamer.
A steamer.
It's fucking right. It's a steamer.
It's steaming. I use them as colanders as well when I can't have a door.
That's why it was called a steamer. Because people used to use it for exactly what I'm doing, and we got pissed instead of calling it a steamer.
Back in the day, steamer meant you were gay in Dublin.
So what?
I'm just saying.
That's good. You're gay?
Not trying to say you can't be gay.
This is a new argument.
Not only are we racist, we're also homophobic, Harper. I mean, don't mention kebabs.
Give under my brand.
Is that us get Jim on now?
I think you are, boy.
Jim,
you're slagging me off.
No, what? Hey, I've been slagged off, Jim.
Spent 10 minutes slagging off Joe. You're here to save him.
Just as well, you weren't saying any expletives when you were trying to hear us, because everybody could hear you, Jim.
That'd be hilarious if Jim's got these fucking clowns.
Family man, shocking.
How you doing, mate?
I'm very, very well. Thanks for having me on, boys. It's been a while, but thanks for having me on.
Too long. It's been too long.
I know. So basically, I just kind of skirted over it. What's happening tomorrow night, and the great thing that you've been kind of at the helm of, mate, and you've been helping drive it along. So you take it away, mate. The floor's yours, and just let the listeners know what's happening at Celtic Park tomorrow night.
Well, I've printed off a few things here. Of course, you're supposed to ad-lib these things, aren't you? But in the real world, you never do that. I suppose I've been conscious of the Walford story since being involved in the Grave Society and being a Celtic supporter, and getting down a few years ago to Dumfries when the Grave Society commemorated Walford, which was a great day, great wee bus trip down to Dumfries, and we're forever looking at, or we were forever. I've just to fill you in, too many other things going on, so I'm not officially in the committee of the Grave Society anymore. I still, probably text the boys constantly on there, but I'm doing some other things now. So with Walford, a couple of years back, when we were organising the 125 Mass, there was somebody from BBC Scotland, Dumfries, can't remember the guy's name now, who got in touch and who was doing a story, because obviously Walford's buried in there. And it was a story about 125, and he wanted to do an up-to-date angle, and I met him in St Mary's, had a chat with him in St Mary's. Then we went up to the statue, and we done a wee bit outside the statue, and he asked me something, and it stuck in my mind, that question. I've never been able to forget it. I don't know if he broadcast it. My answer was probably rubbish, but he said to me, how would Walford feel about Celtic 125 years on? With the changes in football, with the salaries of players, with the changes in Glasgow, how would he feel? Would he still be a Celtic supporter? And I really, it's a difficult question, but I didn't hesitate, and I basically said to him, I think so. When he founded the club, there were, changes in the club even before he left the club. When the club were on a tour to Europe, and they passed through London, which I'll touch again maybe a wee bit later. Walford was delighted to see the boys, and you could tell that there was a bit of him. There was a bit of him with Celtic, and I think 125 years on, or 127, 28 years on now, to me, Walford would still be just as proud of Celtic as he was back in the early days. Because you know what it's like, you two boys over in Ireland, when distance in some ways makes the heart fonder, and I've been away I've spent periods of time away from Glasgow, and the feeling about Celtic at times does get stronger. So over a period of time, I said to him, I think Walford still would be just as proud of Celtic, and especially in the last, I think, maybe 10, 15 years, when the charitable side of Celtic has just become so strong, so strong. There's the work of the foundation, there's the work of, I saw you boys at the Kano do, and the Kano Foundation is just, tremendous, absolutely wonderful what they do. All of the other charitable groups, the Foodbank drives, which have been run by the GB, the Ty Timms story, the wee Oscar story I saw tonight. There's money being raised. There was something with Chris Commons, his wife, and me, Jay. I saw another flyer, and you follow Celtic accounts and
Invisible.
Invisibles is another one. Yep, linked to Celtic, absolutely. The homeless groups. I had the pleasure of meeting up with young Paul the Tim about a year back, and we went into the Wayside Club Centre, and Paul handed over 500 quid to them. And he handed it over to Tom Boyd Senior, who is the treasurer for the Wayside Club Centre. So there are all these charitable links. So, I'll answer the question. Willie Johnson was his name. No, that Willie Johnson, a different one. I'll answer his question. Would Walfrid be proud of Celtic? Would he still be a Celtic supporter? Apologies, dear brother, but you're bloody right, he would be. And it's both, I think, stuff that's going on at the club, but for me, Celtic, and I know you share this, Jason, we've discussed this many times, for me, Celtic it's the club, it's who's in the park, and it's each and every one of us. That's what Celtic is, and I think Walfrid would be very, very proud of it. So, when it comes to, thinking of anniversaries, I was aware a few years back that, it's coming up to, it's 97 years since he passed away. There'll be an anniversary in a couple of years' time, and that day, with so many other things going on in all our lives, that day just get closer, and you sometimes think about it, and then you're reminded of it. And recently I was reminded of it, and I saw various people talking about it. I saw people just go, I wonder what's happening, wouldn't it be great if we did this or if that happened? And I heard that there was the foundation, the Celtic FC Foundation, were having a lunch for the homeless citizens of Glasgow. They were inviting 500 members of the homeless community in. And as you said, Harper, the Invisibles, I think, have been a fantastic addition to the Celtic charity scene, however you want to describe it, and I thought that was a fantastic initiative. But I'll come back to what I've just said. For me, Celtic is each and every one of us. So I thought, how can we contribute? How can we as fans say, well, Walfrid's important to the club, but Walfrid, and importantly, what Walfrid stood for is absolutely important, and the food collections, and it's not the driver behind it, but for me the politics of poverty, the politics of education, for me they go hand in hand. But the first thing you've got to do is to feed your fellow citizens. You've got to educate your fellow citizens, and that's what Walfrid believed. So what better could we do than to remember Walfrid? And I know there's a few people going down to Dumfries this Friday, and rightly laying flowers at his grave. And I think the club were involved in that too. I don't know if that's official yet, but that's happening on Friday. But as well as the commemorative, I think you've got to do something, coming back to that question, where what would Walfrid be proud of? And for me, Walfrid would be proud of having food, a decent amount of food, a reasonable amount of food, or what would be fantastic would be a vast amount of food on the Celtic way, and for that to be collected in his name. So that's where we're at. We've got various plans which I'll talk to you about. So that's the genesis of the whole thing. With it being too biblical again.
Once he said to me a few weeks ago, mate, and we all know the great work the Green Brigade did for the last Foodbank collection. I couldn't tell you exactly the date, but it was phenomenal. I think it's the most food that's been collected in Britain or whatever in one sitting or whatever, X amount of tons. I don't know the exact figures, but I just think for what Celtic were founded, and to feed the poor and impoverished Irish immigrants in East End of Glasgow, and I just think it's a real sad indictment to society today that we have food banks, but while they're here, there's no better place than people that can come together and do their wee bit to try and help at Celtic Park. And eternally grateful, mate, for you getting this off the ground, and for everyone and all the different fan groups and Celtic as a football club supporting us. And just before you come in there, my youngest brother just came into the house there with a bag from my mum that sent in a bag of messages for me to bring in tomorrow as well. So even people that aren't coming, spread the word to everybody, and you bring the messages with them, bring them to Celtic Park tomorrow, and let's make this a night to remember for all the right reasons.
Sorry, carry on.
No, that's it. That's me saying my wee bit.
I think, as you start to see some of the images on Twitter, people with the bags and people saying we could do this, people having workplace collections, and let's remember this goes on constantly. You can't go into a supermarket these days without seeing a shopping basket at the end for one local food bank or another, and for me that is a great thing in some ways, but it's also a national disgrace. That this is happening in our society. We're in the middle of a general election campaign, or at the start of a general election campaign, and food poverty to be an issue still in our society, I think is a national disgrace. And I've not heard on any of the news broadcasts so far, I've not heard food poverty being the lead item. For me, it should be the lead item, it should be the second item, the third, the fourth, the fifth bloody item on the news, that our citizens in this country are still hungry. It's people, as Tara would tell you. Tara's been, I'm one of the people involved in this. There's loads of people working on it. So I thought I'd come on and, tell you some of the things that are happening. But, Tara will tell you the people who come into her food bank, they're people who work full time. They're people with families. They're people who walk considerable distances to pick up a couple of bags of foods to support their families. And at some point in our society, that has to be addressed politically. And I hope that also, tomorrow there will be a big statement by football fans that actually this matters in our society. Let's get this to the top of the agenda. Why are people hungry in our society? But as well as discussing it, what you also have to do is to make sure that people are fed. That is the priority. First and foremost, make sure that people are fed. And the real stars are people like Tara, the people who go out, and the volunteers who sort the food. Do you know what, Jason? I saw yesterday. They've only just finished sorting the Green Brigade food collection.
Right.
I think it was 9 tons, and they have to go through every bag. They have to check the sell-by date. They have to apportion it into different bags so that families are given, a balanced bag. And
sorry, Jim, just to cut in there, I've got a tweet from Walfrid's Legacy saying it was 7.5 tonnes on the 3rd of November 2014.
And that's, stunning. Stunning.
Yeah.
And, we've no idea what's going to be raised tomorrow, none at all, but I think it will be well supported, and you can already see online it's being well supported. And, it's 2 days before the 100th anniversary of the passing of Walfrid. The actual anniversary is April the 17th. And this weekend, obviously, we've got, I don't know, I didn't hear the start of the broadcast if you were talking about the game at the weekend, but that's at Hampden. Hampden midday kick-off. There was no way we could have done something there. So what I've loved about this is that people have said, Wednesday night, not going to be a capacity crowd. Doesn't matter. We'll still get out there, we'll support it. And we'll support it absolutely to the hill, and that I think is to the credit of absolutely everybody, and that's who I think, would need the thanks, the morale, the people who support it, but also the people who will take it back to the food banks and who will be doing the sorting and who will be out there at the sharp end. And this is the thing, we can talk about it on here, but there are some people at the sharp end who see, you know, kids walking in and kids walking out with bags of, you know, tinned soup and tinned meat because they need it. And so, anyway, this is where I start to feel emotional. You know, you think about your own kids.
Yeah.
And this to be happening, as I say, is a disgrace. But first and foremost, the important thing to do is to make sure that our citizens are fed, and being able to play a small part in that, I think, is really important for all of us, and to be able to do it on an ongoing basis. So that's where we are.
Yeah, Jim. This of course has been supported by the club this morning.
Yep.
What kind of feedback do you get for Celtic for this kind of stuff?
When my first real involvement with the club was obviously when I was at the Grave Society. We worked closely on some of the events, and especially at the St Mary's Mass. And I was reminded, actually, I was looking back through the St Mary's Mass programme, and at the end of it, I don't know if you remember, Jason, if you went back to Kerrydale, but
Get them in.
I remember the simple meal at the end of it.
It was beautiful.
Well, I scoffed all the macaroni pies. That's where the macaroni pies went to that night.
Delicious, mate. It was, as I've said in this show before, that's been my best ever Celtic experience in my life, and there wasn't even a game on.
Aye, it was great. And so a simple meal then, and I think the same thing. What else do you do in, you know, Walfred's actual anniversary? You know, you have a meal, a simple meal for our homeless citizens. So when I've had that contact with the club in the past, got to know a few people there, and I helped it with the last foundation collection. Know a few people, and I spoke to them about other possibilities. A couple of us spoke to them about possibilities for this weekend, what they were, or for this week, what they were doing, and what the other possibilities were. And absolutely said, right, what can we do? What can we do together? What can we do, foundation and the club? What can we do to support it? What can we do to promote it? And importantly, what can we do together so that they can support fans, they can support the work of the foundation, but it can be a statement of the club doing something with the fans in unity. And as I said, Jason, before, I know that's something we've discussed and something that we see as important.
Yeah.
So there are obviously logistical issues with that. 2 seconds, boys. Give me a wee second. Sorry. There are obviously logistical issues with that, such as we've got 15, 16 food banks being supported. I'll read a list out later, but 15, 16 food banks being supported. And when do they pick up the food? Where do they park? How do they get access? Who tells the police it's happening? I remember the first Maryhill Food Bank thing. The club were fantastic with that, and they dealt with the police, and they said, no, it's all right. They won't be using the soup cans as missiles, officer. That was actually a question. You know, would the cans possibly be used as missiles? So I think they've got a bit more used to the fact that football fans can donate food to their fellow citizens without using donations as missiles. So anyway, the club have negotiated and given full cooperation. They've made things easy. They've said, what can we do? You know, where is the best place to have it? And the logistics. And then, you know, none of us knew what was going to be unveiled tonight. I don't know if the three of you have seen the banners which have just been unveiled at Celtic Park. Have you seen them?
I haven't known, mate. No, I wasn't long in for work when we started the show, so enlighten us.
2 banners at the entrance, both of Walford, and one of them on the left-hand side, which says Walford's Vision, and underneath the club badge, and on the right-hand side, an equally big banner, and it says Walford's Legacy, and there's the foundation badge is on there. And for me, the message, you could argue, we should have every Celtic charity on there. But for me, that's a very powerful message.
Yeah.
And having that as the backdrop to tomorrow night's game, as I say, I didn't know anything about that. But having that up there, I think, is a huge statement. It's a massive statement. So in answer, again, I'm rambling, but Harper, your question, they've been great, absolutely fantastic. Foundation, the club, the security people at the club, helpful suggestions. The foundation are giving us high-vis vests for tomorrow. People inside the club are sticking the jackets on themselves tomorrow night, and they're going to be helping, lugging bags of food. They're going to be carrying buckets. They've just been fantastic, absolutely fantastic, and that's how it should be every time. And I'm no blind to the fact that it isn't always like that, but that's how it should be every time. So this time, faultless, and more than that, the absolute credit to everybody who's helped us.
Well, brilliant. It's great to hear. And just put out to everybody there, I did a wee text there for Joe Mackin for the Kano, just to say personally thank you, Jim, for everything you've done to help the Kano Foundation as well. And Joe says as well to fuck the Madrid derby because he's listening to us too, so that was good. So see another thing, see anybody that's listening, or if you're listening to this in the morning or whatever, if you're listening to before the game tomorrow night and you know anyone that runs a supporters club or anything that's going on it, text them to let everybody know. I know a lot of people are on social media now and a lot of people have found out about this, but anyone that doesn't know, send a wee group text to all your mates that's Celtic supporters that will be at the game tomorrow night, or ones that even aren't going to be at the game, and tell them this is happening. This will be for
put it on your Facebook, put it on your Twitter, everywhere.
So we'll tweet it for the HomeBhoys and get the poster for there. It's all over. Just do hashtag Walford's Legacy, and everything will be there. And from the bottom of the Celtic Way, and in other areas throughout the stadium, there'll be people with high-vis vests on. So get your bags, and there'll be cash donations as well. But get your bags and bring some unperishable foods, I should say, perishable foods. And there's lists.
You're trapped.
I should actually hand over to you, but I'll let you do your bit. So anything that you can do to bring more food to Celtic Park tomorrow night, somebody will be there to take it off you, and there'll be a load of us there helping with high-vis vests on and whatever, and then after the game started we'll help bundling everything into the vans, and they can take it away to all the various food banks. But as I say, there'll be plenty of people there helping, and there'll be plenty of people there donating, and we just want every Celtic fan to bring something. And even if you can't afford much or whatever, a wee tin or whatever, they can just do your wee bit to help, and it's greatly appreciated. But I'm sure we'll make this a night to remember, and that's great to hear about the flags and stuff like that as well.
Can I just say something on that? I got a tweet there from James and Jules, and I can't retweet it because it's a protected account, but they sent me a picture of the front of Celtic Park with the 2 banners. So I'm going to save the picture and I'll tweet it for HomeBhoys just in 2 minutes to anybody who's not seen it.
Brilliant.
And there's Cartuja, obviously online. He's put together all those images of.
I seen it with the shopping list as well.
The shopping list. Richie Feeney has been fantastic. He put together the original flyer. So, and people, sometimes you come on something like this sometimes and you think, oh, he's doing all this, or you mentioned Tara, she's doing all that, and there are so many people contribute to something like this, and at times it's impossible to absolutely thank them all, and so sometimes it's maybe worthwhile not going down that road. But Richie and Cartuja especially, Cartuja's just sent us things. He doesn't get asked. He says, here's an idea, what do you think of this? and it's genius. You know, what he sends you is, you know, we could never have thought up some of the graphics and the images, and not only is it talented, but it's hugely practical. That bloody shopping list is fantastic. No, I've not got it in front of me, so I fail there as well. But so people like that are absolutely so valuable. So what you said there, Jason, I've not got the shopping list, but you know it's available all online. I'll maybe, if one of you boys,
I'll get it now and I'll retweet it.
Jim, can I just ask you a question then while Jason's looking for that?
Yeah.
I've got a tweet from Big Stuart, which is @white_Italy on Twitter. He says, "Can you ask Jim what time the collection starts? It won't be at the game, but I'll be passing by about 5 p.m. We'll be somebody there at 5.
Yep, good, right.
Get the shopping list here. So the shopping list.
Wait now, Jason, just to Jim answers that.
No, if Jason wants to go, I'll tell you after that. Get the shopping list out there, Harper.
Okay.
Aye.
So the shopping list for Celtic Park: sugar 500-gram bags, fruit juice cartons, soup and pasta sauces, tinned tomatoes, cereals, tea bags and instant coffee, rice and pasta, tinned meat, fish and tinned fruit, jam, biscuits and snack bars. So that's your shopping list. So I'll repeat that: sugar 500-gram bags, fruit juice cartons, soup, pasta sauces, tinned tomatoes, cereals, tea bags and instant coffee, rice or pasta and pasta, tinned meat, fish and tinned fruit, jam, biscuits and snack bars. So there you go, and that's I'll retweet that out as well. So HomeBhoys will be retweeting that, and that's everything there. So as I say, it's the work that goes on behind the scenes, Jim. But I think you're obviously being a bit humble, like you always are, and without your driving force behind this, it wouldn't be happening, mate. I can say that from a point of view, a point of knowledge that it takes somebody like yourself, mate, that drives these things onward. You're like a dog with a bone at times, and it's well appreciated by our Celtic supporters. And same with the 125th anniversary mass. I know along with your guys at Celtic Graves and things like that, but guys like yourself, mate, they don't come along too often, and it's well appreciated by the rest of us.
Yes, Jim.
Thanks, mate. Well, it's an idea, you know. With ideas, only people.
Stop it doing this.
We also want to thank you, Jim, for not letting the video of us at the Kano dance reach the internet.
I've not got an iPhone. I've not seen it. I can't download it. I'm not buying an iPhone just to see you three drunk.
Nobody's seen it. We gave it to Edward Snowden. He has it.
It's a pleasure, Jim, you know, to just do a wee bit with stuff like this. So what time will you be arriving at Paradise tomorrow?
Right, so practicalities then. So tomorrow there'll be people there, including myself, a few others, from 2 o'clock on the Celtic Way.
Perfect.
Okay, so at the Celtic Way there's a wee car park. There's a wee shamrock-shaped car park. I don't know if you know, on the right-hand side. So you go up the Celtic Way, and on the right-hand side, it's there. That's where we're going to be storing most of the food. Luckily, the weather has turned, so I think we're going to be all right. I've been looking at the price of tarpaulins to cover everything, but I think we're going to be all right. So 2 o'clock on the Celtic Way, we will be there. And there'll be people arriving at various points in the afternoon. We will all be wearing high-vis Celtic Foundation bibs or vests to identify as volunteers for the collection. We will have we will be directing people to the Celtic Way. There are no other collection points except the Celtic Way. However, from about 6 o'clock at Kilmarnock station and at the Tesco's on the Gallagate, just in front of the Tesco's, who are also very good. Spoke to them today. They were fantastic. We're hoping that they'll confirm tomorrow we'll get a wee coned off area in the front of Tesco's, and there'll be volunteers with transport so that people coming out don't have to lug it all the way from Tesco's down to the Celtic Way. That will also be happening from Kilmarnock Station, so there will be constantly those two places opposite Kilmarnock Station and outside the front of Tesco's in the Gallowgate, not in the Gallowgate itself, but the entrance to Tesco's will be staffed by volunteers for the collection. And we will be ferrying the food, as soon as the car's full, fingers crossed, we'll be ferrying that straight to the Celtic Way. But the volunteers will stay there, keeping the food there until the car arrives back, ready to be taken back to the Celtic Way. The reason the food needs to be at the Celtic Way is that with the GB collection, all of the food was being taken to HailHailMedia Street. So there were 5 or 6 different points where the food was collected, and it did make it easier for people just to drop it either at the Coach Park or up at the Gallowgate next to the creamery, or run the back of Janefield, the original Celtic Park. I don't know street names, I just know the original Celtic Park. So they had all the collection points there, but practically the reason we can't do that this time is that all of the food is actually being collected on the Celtic Way. 10 minutes after kick-off, 15 vans are turning up and driving up the Celtic Way, and we're going to load all of the food straight into those vans during the first half. And that's all been taken and distributed to the 15 food banks. They're all turning up. Some of them, or most of them, have got their own transport, but we're providing transport. Again, people have just said, I'll bring my car, I'll bring my van, I'll bring my 4x4, whatever, and I'll take it to, to Govan or to the Gorbos or wherever it needs to go. So all of that is being collected and taken from the Celtic Way. That is why the Celtic Way is the only collection point for tomorrow night. Volunteers will be all around the ground, pointing people to the Celtic Way and helping people with bags. But what I'd also say, this is where people, the people who go tomorrow night, it'll be really helpful. If you see somebody with a couple of bags who's struggling, say, okay, a hand, mate, let me help you take them into the Celtic Way.
Yep.
So 2 o'clock.
Another important as well, Jim. See, for guys that you don't want to, you've no time after you finish work to get home and get to a supermarket. Yep. If you got off at Belgrove or you got off at Duke Street train station, walk down to Tesco's and just go into Tesco's and spend a £5 or spend a £10 and get a bag and come out and drop it there or bring it to the game. So you don't have to come to Celtic Park with the bag, because there's ways and means. Get yourself over the back of the Celtic end to the where Tesco's is, and just go in there and buy it. So if you're getting the train, get off at Belgrove or get off at Duke Street, just walk down there as well and stick a £10 in and go and buy some. But another thing, Tara tweeted as well, I don't know if I mentioned it there, but see the long life juice, I drink loads of the apple juice. See the one off the shelf, get that one, not the one that's in the fridge. But it's the one off the shelf, the UHT one. See the big 1.5 or 1 litre, say apple juice and orange juice. The ones that's so red, it's not in a chiller, so it lasts for ages. So if they're bringing that, make sure you bring it as the UHT stuff, not the one that's in the fridge.
Yeah. So, another question for Twitter for you, Jim, for James McCann at Naked Aslan. He says, will they be taking cash donations tomorrow?
Yes, there will be. It's not the aim of tomorrow. The aim is to collect food, but we saw, the first Mary Hill collection, people were stuffing 5ers, 10ers into people's hands at the food bank there. The first GB collection, I think they collected £400, and again there was no cash collection, but it happened. Then, of course, the last time when there was an official collection for the GB for the Glasgow North East Food Bank, I think they raised, what was it, 8 or 9 grand? Staggering amount of money, absolutely staggering. So tomorrow night it is not a cash collection. However, there will be buckets, because we realise that people, for practicality's sake, sometimes it isn't possible to get in for your work, grab something to eat, get into a supermarket and get to the game. And that's where we'd say, right, okay, if you're going to stick a £5 in, then we will have buckets, and we will have the facilities to take them. And again, the Celtic Foundation, are giving us access to those, so that it's the usual sealed buckets, and it will have the Walford's Legacy. It will have the Walford's Legacy flyer on the front of those. So yeah, absolutely, we will be taking cash donations.
There we go. So, so as I say, as long as it stays dry, I think it makes a hell of a lot easier for us. You know, that's living in the west of Scotland. Any time of the year, you can never put your faith in the weather. But hopefully, the big man upstairs is Brother Wolfers and a wee word with him, and he'll see us all right for tomorrow night, mate.
Just a message here from Tara saying there's a Farm Foods at Partick Cross as well. So if people want to use that maybe as well, a bit closer possibly.
Is that's like a BBC announcement? You talk about Tesco's and they've got to follow it immediately with, of course, other supermarkets are available.
Yeah. And obviously, the Tesco's, the Ford's retail park, I had said over at the back of the Celtic end, but that's what I meant.
Aye. And there's the wee shop in London Road as well, opposite the CSA.
That's right.
So, you know, people, if somebody's going in for a couple of beers beforehand to the CSA, then the wee shop across the road, I'm sure, you know, it'd be great if a couple of local shops got a bit of custom as well.
Jim, that's actually good you said that, because I just got a tweet saying exactly that for Thomas Hand. Also support local traders, doesn't have to come to supermarkets.
Absolutely, mate, absolutely. Right. And if you can bring it, you know, for home, if you can bring it for a local shop, great. You know, as far as I'm concerned, that's what I would do. But, you know, as I said earlier, Tesco's have very supported the day. They couldn't be nicer. They're aware that there might be significant numbers of people coming in between 5:30 and 7:30. So you've got to make people aware of it. There's things we'd all like to do, but you just got to make people aware of the fact that you know, that facility is available. But if you can use a local shop, great. Use a local shop.
Absolutely, I know. So it's just all systems go, mate. And now it's the kind of calm before the storm. So have you got any more planning that you need to do tonight or tomorrow, or have you got most of the things in place? Is everything just ready for you to turn up now, or have you got other things to do?
Just making sure, you know, I had a chat with David McLaughlin, who's been fantastic as well. We're just making sure that all boxes are ticked off, in case, you know, with these things, there'll always be something. We'll turn up there tomorrow and there'll always be something somebody's forgotten about. But, you know, that's fine. I think as long as you accept that that's part of the process, then it's not particularly something to get stressed about. But we're just making sure that all of the fantastic supporters groups and forums who are supporting this, we're making sure that they're all completely in the picture as to what's happening tomorrow. I can't say too much, but there might be a wee special moment round about the Walford statue at some stage tomorrow night. So as I said, I promise not to say too much about that, but that might be worth getting there a wee bit early for.
I don't want to let it slip out, but there's a good chance Paul the Tim will be there.
That's a wild guess there, just I gotta say.
That's the special moment, isn't it?
That's it, mate.
He should get his own Pope mobile, shouldn't he? Just roll up waving. We got tweeted a picture there of the banners at Celtic Park. They look fantastic.
Aye, they're great, aren't they? Really good. Really good. Can I just read out the names of the food banks who are actually being supported?
Go ahead.
I think it's important just to say that you know, Celtic fans come from far and wide. You know, the Irish Association is supporting this, as well as, you know, all of the other associations. Celtic fans will be there tomorrow night from far and wide, and the reason there's 15, 16, I think it might even be 17 now food banks involved in this, is that other food banks have been supported in the past and will continue to be supported. And, you know, I think it's important that if anybody can make it there tomorrow night, you know, if they're in London, take a wee bag of food into your your local food bank, or if you're in the States, sadly food banks are not a national phenomenon, they're an international phenomenon. So if you can, drop something locally. But here, we've decided to support food banks in the west of Scotland. And so these 15 food banks are going to be coming tomorrow. A number of other volunteers are going to be wearing the bibs as well, and helping and carrying the bags and pointing people in the right direction. So if I could just read out the food banks who are being supported at the moment, there might be more tomorrow. So we've got Hamilton Food Drop, we've got Hamilton District Food Bank, Drumchapel Food Bank, and I remember a couple of months back they were really struggling, and this is one of the things we want to do. We want to say to them, we value what you're doing. Loaves and Fishes, Dennis Curran, if ever anybody was up for sainthood, it should be that man. Loaves and Fishes in East Kilbride.
Yeah.
Garnet Hill Multicultural Centre, Coatbridge Food Bank, who I know again they were struggling recently, and I think I remember you tweeting stuff about it as well, Jason.
Aye.
Glasgow North West Food Bank, Glasgow South West Food Bank, Balornock Action for Hunger, Destiny's Angels and the Gorbals, the Everlasting Food Bank, Castle Milk Food Bank, Cumbernauld Against Poverty, and a couple which again I think are really, really worthy of mentioning. I know one of them is based in Govan. It's great that we're supporting a food bank in Govan tomorrow. The Unity Cafe and the Unity Night Shelter, and those two food banks in particular, those two organisations support refugees in our city who are struggling, and we know why Celtic were founded. We were all most of us were from an immigrant community. Yep. And I think it was an important statement to say tomorrow. Yep, we remember our roots, and supporting people in need, whatever their colour of skin, whatever their religion, whatever their background, is as important today as it was in Walfrid's day. So in particular, the Garnet Hill Multicultural Centre, Unity Cafe and the Unity Night Shelter, to me is a really strong statement that Celtic fans and the wider community are supporting these organisations.
Yeah. No,
so there's a bit more political spiel.
But it's and it hits home. See when you read it out, and you see how widespread the problem is, and that's only scratching the surface, even in the west of Scotland. And it's heartbreaking, as you say.
Yep.
And I'm saying the west of Scotland. I work with a lad, him and his girlfriend, his fiancée, they help out in one in Edinburgh, and he's been part of a couple of food bank collections in local Tesco's in Kirstoffen, and they've supplied Pilton and somewhere else, and it's part of the Trussell Fund, I think.
Right.
But he's been telling me in one of the stories, we were talking about it today, I was doing Edinburgh working today, and he was telling us, he says, it'd break your heart. He says, some of the people that donate to the food bank collection and some that walk past you. And he says, there was a wee woman come in the other day and says she could hardly walk, and they're handing out the leaflets as they're walking in, saying, look, if you wouldn't mind. And she says, oh son, no bother. So she went away and she came back. She was all like, don't worry, I've not forgot you. And he says she could hardly walk. And he says she's went to her car and dropped her messages off and come back. He says, give me that, I'll do another shopping for you now. And he says she was shuffling her way around the shop, and she brought back a full shop for them, everything that they're looking for. And he just says, that wee woman there, he says she was all doubled up and everything, she could hardly walk. And he says she done it, and he says you see people walking by you, they've got a few quid. Or they look as if they've got a few quid, and they just look at you with disdain, and they don't. And he says it'd break your heart. But what he says is his girlfriend's in the front line, like dishing out the food. And in Edinburgh, she says there's some business types, white collar workers that's coming in these food banks now. People that he says are living in big houses, that they've lost their job for whatever reason, and they can't afford the mortgages, or they can maybe just afford to pay their mortgage, but they can't afford to buy food. And he says they're coming in, and he says it's like, he says it opens your eyes. He says it comes from every section of the community, because you cannot judge. Everybody that comes to that food bank is to get treated like an equal. And he says there's 3 types of parcels they hand out. There's one for like a single person, there's one for a married couple or a couple, and then there's one for a family. So he says that's what you're handing out. And he just says, my God Almighty, it opens his eyes, when he sees it. And it's just, it's incredible in this day and age that we come from a perceived rich country. It's not America, as you say. The amount of wealth that's floating about these countries, it's probably maybe 1% to 5% of the population own all the wealth. And the amount of people at the bottom of the ladder here, and it's just, and I think that ladder's getting bigger. And as you say, we're coming up to an election, and the full thing would just make you sick, mate. It'd absolutely make you sick. You've got career politicians now that's just champing the bit to get our vote, and I just think people have been silent and sat in their hands for too long, and I think it's time for big changes.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. I mean, I remember, hunger being a third world problem when I was a youngster, and here we are in 2015 in a very affluent world where people are still going hungry because they just can't afford to buy food. And it makes you wonder, where are we going? I mean, what's happening? But it's amazing to be connected as human beings and as supporters of Celtic to get together and say, listen, let's put a hand on this and change it for the better as best we can.
Well, can you all hear Joe? Because it keeps getting in and out for me.
Really echoey for me.
Yeah, bit echoey.
It's going echoey, but it was very profound, whatever I said.
No, I heard Mesty, Joe, and it ties in with what Jason said about the old woman. Maybe when we were growing up, or Jason and I know you two are young things, but when we were growing up, maybe the word community wasn't used, but certainly was community, and you had shortages. You knew you had shortages. There were times, when you got tick in the shops, or you borrowed things off your neighbours, the old cup of sugar, or sometimes a bit more. Maybe I wasn't fully aware of the extent of it, but I'll bet the old woman who you're talking about, Jason, I bet she remembers it.
Aye.
And maybe, I don't know, I've heard the word community. Maybe it was me who became distant for the word community, but when you hear the word community, you're starting to realise what it means. It's people being aware as to their neighbours might be in need. It might be somebody at the end of the street who they've never met, but they might be in need. So maybe being aware of these issues, and what you said, Joe, Celtic fans are doing this, or football fans are doing that. Maybe it's just reminding people that community is important and society is important.
Yeah, because we've kind of got to the society now, Jim, that your neighbour's alarm goes off in the middle of the night, and everybody's first thought is, I wish that would shut up, I've got work.
Aye.
You know what I mean? Well, this family's get bludgeoned to death, and it's like you're like, I wish they would shut up, they'd turn that alarm off. And you're right, it's just people have got away from. I can always remember we had it was perceived as a rent man that used to come around. I can always mind the guy Harvey, and he was a Celtic fan, but he used to come round our house and all my aunties' houses and neighbours and stuff like that. But that was obviously a guy you were buying stuff and tick off, and they came to get the money from you. At once a week, and obviously it's adding his wee bit of interest. It's not a loan shark or anything like that.
Probably.
Aye, well, a kind of similar type thing. And women used to have Tupperware parties, and they all went round and they'd all buy a wee bit of Tupperware, and it was you just had but everybody's. I can always remember Noel Gallagher was on Jonathan Ross, and I can mind Jonathan Ross said something that you were abused as a kid, Noel, and he turned and he's like, what? And he's like, well, maybe not abused, but your dad was a bit of, then Jonathan Ross tried to backtrack, your dad was a bit of a drunkard and stuff like that, and he's like, and no Gallagher's like, everybody's down, that's where I lived. Yeah. He says, no, that's just the way life is. He says, your mum looked after you, your dad went to the pub when he finished work. And he's like, that wasn't abuse, that was just growing up in a working class estate in an inner city. And it's like, that's how everybody grew up. When I first went to Celtic games, you stood outside the pub while your dad and that was in getting a pint. You get a can of Coke and a packet of plain crisps. and you stood out there with another 20 ninjas.
I can tell you, there was a couple of times I had my name up in the ice cream van window for not paying my ticket back. You used to name and shame the people that owed them money.
And you look like you put away plenty of ice cream.
It was always for cigarettes, I'm afraid to say.
The gin under the counter.
Jim, there was something you said right at the start that actually took a wee bit of interest from me. When we talk about Celtic being a charitable club and the support and everything, and you say it's something that's really come to the fore in the last 10, 15 years. Now, obviously, we all know why Celtic was started. Did we kind of lose our way in that, or is it just something that, because we didn't have social media and everything in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and that, was this kind of going on in the background and we never knew about it as much, or is it something that's just really came back into the fore because it's more needed now than ever, or what?
Well, remember I spoke, Chris McGuigan was doing the history podcast, I spoke about this with Paul, for the Grave Society, and we spoke about, I think it was the first 13 years up to 1900, and we had there was a major issue in, somebody will correct me, but it was 1894, I think, 1893 or 1894, can't remember the exact year, where we moved towards professionalism. We moved away from the charitable foundations of the club, and we moved towards actually paying people, and some of that had been happening, surreptitiously. People were paid by being given pubs, or people were earning more running a pub and never been in it than they could get at a contracts at the big clubs in England at the time, Notts County or Villa, and one of the most important founding fathers of the club alongside Walfrid to me was Dr. Conway, and Dr. Conway was deposed. Dr. Conway wanted to continue the charitable nature of the club, and that changed. So that was an issue in the early days as well. But as I say, we touched upon this in the history podcast, if anybody's interested in going back and listening to it. But one of the things Walfrid did was that he wanted Celtic not just to be around for a few years. There were loads of Irish clubs back in the early days, loads of them, and a lot of them foundered. And what Walfrid wanted was to make sure that, as well as the charitable side, Walfrid wanted Celtic to be a beacon for the community of the East End of Glasgow, for the mainly Irish community of the East End of Glasgow, and he wanted it to be a strong statement. In my view, everything's a historical view, and that's why he surrounded himself with, people like John Glass, who was a fixer. He was a builder and a fixer. He knew people in the building industry, but he also knew people in the Irish national movement at the time. John H. McLaughlin, who was a very different character for John Glass, who became the first president of the Scottish Football League. Pat Welsh, who he went with to recruit Willie Maley, or he went to recruit Tom Maley, and he ended up with Willie, and Tom came after. So, Walfrid surrounded himself with these people because the charity, the early days of charity was really important, but Walfrid also wanted to ensure that, as well as giving money to the poor children's dinner tables, that Celtic were here 10 years later, they were here 20 years later, that this club was absolutely here to stay, and not just to survive, but to thrive, and given people in the East End of Glasgow, in some ways, an athletic role model. He valued the role of athleticism. He valued education, and that was the other thing. By feeding kids, if you fed kids and then they went to school, there was a good reason for them going to school. Tom Maley was an educationalist as well as scoring a hat-trick in the first game. He was a teacher. He was a head teacher, or he became a teacher and a head teacher, and an educationalist. So for me, the message of Walfrid, and maybe the message of this week as well, is that, and I think it said that in the statement, that Walfrid's vision was the charitable vision, but it was also, here is a beacon of light for the people of the East End of Glasgow. And that has become a beacon of light for the East End, the West End, the South, the North, way beyond Glasgow, way beyond, the west of Scotland. And that, to me, is just as important now. And that vision of what Celtic is part of Walfrid's legacy. That, we're here. And by God, we're here to stay. You better get used to that. We're here to stay.
Right. But see, going back to Harper, I think it's a great point to bring up. I do think it's a recent thing. I do think we did lose our way. I do think people are, seen the last 10 years, maybe with the buzzword austerity and stuff like that kicking in, and people were, because 15 years ago everybody was riding on the crest of a wave, and it's, a lot of people have come back down to earth with a bump, and I just think people are maybe reprioritising things, and I think for a Celtic support, maybe social media has played a big part in sort of galvanising the Celtic fans and bringing us together, because some of the stuff that you mentioned, some great points earlier on, Jim, but some of the stuff, remember in Celtic Minded, the lad Bobby that had terminal cancer, within a couple of days we'd raised thousands of pounds. And then guys had get Neil Lennon to go to the hospital and visit the guy and everything. Yeah. It's like how people were. I mean, us on HomeBhoys, we had a discussion between us, and we wanted to do something for the Palestinian people. And within the space of a couple of weeks, we'd raised like 1,800 quid. To send for medical aid for Palestine. Yeah. And it's these things that just they're the guy, the Borussia Dortmund fan on Celtic Minded. Everybody clubbed a tenner in to buy the guy a ticket for the Champions League final.
Aye.
And stuff like that. And it's just like Celtic fans, is you've made the statement to me, and we can't take any credit for it. And I'll let you say, but it's the great Eddie Toner. give the listeners Eddie Toner's statement about Celtic fans.
The Celtic fans are an unstoppable. Celtic Fans United are an unstoppable force. There you go.
I love that.
Correct.
How true is that?
That's bang on. Like my wife's always said it to me. My wife has never gotten my addiction to Celtic, but she's always said it to me. She said, "You just love getting together and doing stuff." I was like, "Yeah, that's exactly what we do." But everything we do is under a great gaze, and that's the sort of the guidance of being a Celtic fan and Walfrid's legacy, as you say, Jim. I mean, it fills you with so much sort of hope for the future, knowing that like we can all band together and do something good. You know what I mean, under the sort of umbrella of Celtic, and it's guys like yourself. Jason said this before. I mean, like that make these things happen. You know what I mean?
But there's been people all through our history, Joe, who've made things happen. I think that's. I mean, for me, there are so many unsung heroes at Celtic. There was, and I've forgotten his name. God, there you go. That's why he's unsung, because I forgot his name. Was it Robert Downey? I think was it Robert Downey who won the VC, and 3 people with connections to Celtic won the VC, and he worked in the turnstiles after the Second World War. He worked in the turnstiles for about 20 years. And, and there's an example of an unsung hero. People who run buses, people who, give their lives to running a Celtic bus for, again, maybe it's down to, this is community, it's their community thing, it's what they put back in. But there are so many unsung heroes, and maybe we've only recently become reacquainted with the word community. But for me, people who give something back to their community, that's a charitable act as well. It's not always about, maybe raising money, although that's hugely important to a number of charities I know these days, but maybe it's about giving something back to your community. And that's when you see people volunteering their services, or people who are constantly doing something for somebody else, then it's humbling. But I do wonder how much it has just always gone on, that maybe we just took it for granted. Maybe in our history we took it for granted, and then it's with the advent of social media, but also, Fergus McCann came back in and made sure, he made statements in the early days that charity is going to to return to the heart of Celtic. Maybe it's just that word charity which we cling to at times, but we don't always recognise that actually giving something into your community, giving something back to your neighbours in some way has been there, and that's been the constant. Maybe that's what's kept it going through the years when the word charity wasn't always trumpeted the way it is just now.
See, sort of adding a kind of bit to that as well. I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel pretty strongly about it. And that the guys I post on the Facebook group, the Den Social Club, they raised a lot of money for the Kano Foundation a few weeks ago at one of Paul's films. And while I'm mentioning Paul, interesting enough, Harper and Joe, we've got a wee thread between the four of us, but Paul's away in deepest, darkest Australia, but he's sending money across so that I can buy a bag of messages for him to bring into Celtic Park tomorrow. So that's like, he doesn't want me to mention that in the show, but that's the kind of thing that Celtic does to you. Do you know what I mean? You're at the other end of the world, but you still want to bring a bag of messages to Celtic Park. So I'll bring it for Paul tomorrow. But one thing, we had a wee discussion, and it was a guy, plays Celtic daft, and he puts on, he says, Brother Walfred, Willie Maley and Jock Stein, is there any other people that you could use the term Celtic? No, is there another 10 people that could use the term Celtic great or Celtic legend? So I went back to him and I says the founding fathers, absolutely. I says Jock Stein, he's a legend, whatever he did, Willie Maley, obviously, right? But I says there's hundreds of thousands that I put up on the same pedestal as them, and none of them ever wore the green and white other than standing in the terraces.
Aye.
Guys that's ran buses all their lives, guys that never miss a Celtic game, yes. Guys that live in the other end of the world and never see Celtic, but they run their supporters club, that there's 40 guys can get to a wee dark and dingy hall and watch the game, or years ago could listen to the game together on a shortwave radio or whatever. And it's just things like that, guys who epitomise Celtic, but they never ever had the chance to stand in a boardroom or hobnob with the suits in the main stand at Celtic Park, and they were never blessed with the gift of playing football. But as I've said long and weary, I don't support the people that wear the strips. I support the strips, regardless of who's wearing them. It's the green and white hoops that you support. And you'll shed a wee tear when guys like Henrik Larsson walk off and play their last game at Hampden and things like that. Thanks for the memories, but life goes on. Celtic go on. Celtic always go on. And the one constant is the guys who run the buses and the guys who go to every single game. So to me, they are the true Celtic legends. Uh-huh. And we can talk about people that's played for the club and managed the club and been chairman and stuff like that, but to me, the real Celtic legends are the supporters. And I think you mentioned about the Celtic Foundation, which I think is great. Some people can maybe say be a bit sceptical. We've kind of been as well, because it's the fans that are doing it. But that's the way it should be, because the fans are Celtic.
Right, totally, mate, yeah. But, you say, Jason, people move on. That's true. And I've got, one of the saddest days of my life, and I always get slagged for this, was when Dalglish left Celtic. I've said to you before, I was beside myself. It was desperate. But then, okay, you get another hero. As you say, you support the strip. And remember, who we're talking about, the Brother Walfred. Walfred was around for 4 or 5 years, Celtic's history, the early days. Without Walfred, there wouldn't be Celtic, although Walfred said without John Glass, there wouldn't be a Celtic. Yeah. But we won the Scottish Cup. The first time we'd won the Scottish Cup, which at the time was the Cup, was the competition. We beat Queen's Park, who were the dominant force in Scottish football. And Walfred was around long enough, so we beat Queen's Park. And then, and there's speculation as to why it happened, but Walfred was moved on, and he was moved on to London. And I printed something out from the time when Walfred was moved on. Maybe he was becoming, too famous. Maybe, the Maris liked to do things in the background and, shy away from fame, etc. But I'll read this out. So just after we'd beat Queen's Park in the Scottish Cup, first real massive trophy for Celtic to win. 1893, his numerous friends in the city will hear with sorrow of the departure of brother Walfrid from amongst them. For nearly 30 years he has laboured unceasingly for the education of Catholic children. He conducted the schools of the Sacred Heart parish with singular success. He also assisted in founding in this parish a branch of the Young Men's Society, by whose members he is held in great respect. On Wednesday night, this society met under the presidency of their spiritual director, Father Bird, and presented a farewell address to the good brother. The address, which was couched in the most affectionate language, expressed the deep sorrow of the members at parting with such a trusted friend, and wished him every success in his new duties. The brother, in reply, thanked the members and exhorted them to continue in the course they had hitherto pursued, to frequent the sacraments and obey the injunctions of their spiritual director. In a few days, Walfrid will leave for London, where his order have a large establishment. He leaves Glasgow with the hearty good wishes of all who know him. So Walfrid was moved on. You know, without Walfrid there would be no Celtic, but the idea that, you know, people, that the club is relying on one player or one figure, that's never been the case. It's never been the case for the early days. Walfrid was moved on. He moved on to London. He moved on to the East End of London. And as I touched on this earlier, boys, when Celtic are one of the pioneers in world football about doing tours, and they done a tour of Europe, and they came back, and I printed something out. Walfrid met the people who were coming back, met the team who were coming back for their successful tour of Europe. Walfrid was based, he went to the parish of St Anne's in the East End of Glasgow, and he met the team coming back for the successful tour. Willie Maley was there, Tom Maley was there. Tom Maley at this stage was a journalist, and Tom Maley reported that Walfrid said to him, well, time has brought changes, and outside ourselves there are few left of the old brigade. I know none of these present players, but they are under the old colours and quartered in the dear old quarters, and that suffices. And Maley said of him, he took obvious pride in the club he had started and displayed a continuing affection for the people of Glasgow's East End. That continued. 1924, Celtic played a friendly against West Ham, and in theory it was just another friendly. I think it was when Wembley opened. And Celtic played this friendly, and we found a match report a few years ago. And the result was West Ham 2, Celtic 2, 1924, and the match report starts. The St Anne's Young Men's Club London should benefit considerably from the visit of the Celtic to Upton Park last evening. Some 12,000 people assembled in spite of the inclement weather and rewarded with an extremely interesting game. So there's Walfrid's influence. You know, 30 years after he left Glasgow, Celtic are playing a charity match for the St Anne's Young Men's Club in London. The foundation have now got an office in London. I don't know if you're aware of that. East End of London, they're working with underprivileged groups in the East End of London. So that, Walfrid, back to why I'm grateful you invited me on tonight. What Walfrid started is still here now, and we're collecting food, but his legacy is absolutely there, and his legacy, his vision that he started 128 years ago is absolutely still there and still present, and there's always been a wee thread of what Walfrid started running through this club and its supporters.
Aye, and see again, Jim, and by the way, thanks for that. This is fantastic stuff. Me and Harper and Joe just talking to each other and the wee thread saying, this is brilliant, I could listen to this all right. But see the thing about Celtic, for right or for wrong, maybe others outside our wee community don't agree with it, and but it's a debate for another day about the rebel songs and stuff like that. But we are one club that never ever forgets our history, you know, and that's what drives us forward, and that's what makes the Celtic community is what we were spawned from. and how we were brought up to... Everybody's got a different story and what Celtic meant to them and how Celtic touched them. But there is something magical about the Celtic, you know, and it's just obviously every club thinks, every fan of each club thinks their club is magic, but we've got so many others from other football teams throughout the world that look up to Celtic and admire Celtic, and just for various different things. But I just think it's one thing that the history of our club, there is probably no other. There's got a history like it. It's unbelievable, mate. And I could listen to all day. And I'm going to make a point now, the history podcast, to start listening to them again, because they're probably one of the best things I've ever heard, you know, related to Celtic. Apart from the episode I was on, that was shit.
Nobody's ever invited me on. What the fuck? How you talking about Big Daddy?
We might talk off air about maybe getting somebody. I think we could maybe revive a sort of Celtic history podcast.
I mean, like, Jim, the knowledge you have and the stuff you've discovered, it must blow your mind anyway, but it blows our mind as well, because we're not looking for it, but you've discovered all this stuff and found all these stories and these backstories and these amazing, like, I mean, and that's what history is. It's just a series of stories that, you know, have led us to now. So we all kind of feel part of that sort of, to some degree, part of that sort of momentum coming forward from Brother Walford. And it's amazing to kind of have someone like you who knows the kind of some sort of particulars about how it all went on.
But that's the thing, Joe, you know, I'm reading a bit of paper out here, and it was a bit of paper that's discovered by somebody else, and then you find something. You know, the Celtic historians have been doing this for decades and decades, and, you know, the boys in the Grave Society, you know, the Shamrock on Twitter, I don't know if you read his article about Walford the other day. It is stunning. Some of the images he found, some of the quotes he found from the Maris themselves, it is absolutely stunning. So I'm sitting here, I'm reading out a bit of paper, and, you know, that's benefiting from the work people have done over absolute decades, and it's ongoing. And again, one of the things that or one of the most pleasurable things in the Grave Society was you spoke to the family members, and they'd tell you things which, you know, they'd never been outside their family. Information about Celtic, information about the players and what they'd done, and, you know, it's a rich history. But I'll tell you what, if you kept digging into Celtic history, there'd be even more and more and more, and I think that's fantastic. And for me, I'd said, you know, years ago when you first asked me on the show, that for me, I love Lisbon, I love the stories of Lisbon, but for me, Celtic's history didn't start in 1967. There wasn't a gap from 1888 to 1967. You know, we've got a rich history, and it's interesting. I was reading, it's fantastic. I fully support the statue of Big Billy. I think that would be great, having Caesar at the top of the Celtic Way, or wherever the statue is going to be. For me, I read a thread on Kerrydale Street the other day, and they were discussing, as you've touched on there, Jason, who else were legends. And it would be great to have a representation of the fans there. That would be, you know, it would be wonderful. Personally, I would have a 100-foot tall statue of Jimmy McGrory. You know, for me, Jimmy McGrory is an absolutely towering figure in our history. He's close to my heart, maybe where he comes from. He came from the Garden Guard, and he came from that community, and that phrase, the McGrory of the Arsenal, never sounded as good as McGrory of the Celtic. That was a statement of commitment, and Jimmy McGrory got it. Jimmy McGrory came for that community. Jimmy McGrory gave back to that community. So on the Celtic Way, I would have a statue of Jimmy McGrory. I'd have statues of so many of Celtic's players, other important figures in our history. And for me, the history is permanent, and there isn't a gap from when Walford left Celtic all the way through to 1967. Even in the fallow years, when Jimmy McMenemy, another towering figure in our history, he used to, you know, he was He was the man who was put out in front of the supporters rally every year to make sure that everybody kept the faith. You know, if Jimmy McMenemy keeps the faith, then you'd bloody better keep the faith.
Yep.
So for me, it's a permanent history, and that's the only thing that it would be great to hear the history podcasts again, because you know, at times I think we forget that Celtic's only still here today because
I think
kept it going.
I think we need to find a way to re-release them and get them into the public domain and stuff like that. And we can talk offline about that. But
there's still there. Anybody who's listening to this, if you go to the HailHailMedia.com website, and the top banner, the sort of advertising banner where we have the home fans and we have a couple of other things I can't remember. There's a link there to the history podcast, and they're all there. All the links are there. And Jim, I think everybody loves listening to you, and you were on episode 1. So
that's the only reason I'm saying it, of course, because I'm on episode 1.
See, another thing, Jim, as well, I've got the book up the stairs, The Story of the Celtic. And it sort of wrote by Willie Maley, and it's 1888 to 1939. And see, reading that, it's like reading an old Ernest Hemingway novel, because the English that it's wrote in is very different from what books are written in present day. But it gives you that feeling of what Celtic mean to so many, and it's just the way in which the book's wrote is phenomenal. And I know you can't buy it now, so go to eBay or whatever. I don't know, it's a few £100, or see if you can get a Lenny for someone that's got it. But it's a fantastic read, and do you know, I don't really read many Celtic books, present day Celtic books. I can't really be bothered with them because I've got my own Celtic history in my head. But see books like that, I obviously don't have any of that history. So because that's a funny thing when you see like recent Celtic books. I read maybe a few. I read Paul's books, but Paul's books are about fans and stuff like that, and about other kind of concoctions and mad stories about him in New York. But see when you're reading books that's about Celtic, they just bore me. Because I'm reading them and I'm like, that's pish, you know, I think that's crap. I was there when that happened, that wasn't like that, you know. And it's like, I just can't really relate to it, and I don't want to put my views on someone else, you know, and it's like, that doesn't do it for me. But books like this, these are things, it's a part of Celtic's history that I don't know. And then when you read it, it's phenomenal. And the kind of English that it's wrote in, it takes you back to a bygone era. And it's just fantastic. I think one of my favourite books is Ernest Hemingway's Fiesta. The Sun Also Rises. And the English that it's wrote in is very similar to the English that Willie Maley's used in that book. And it's fantastic.
And that's one of the great things about going back and looking through the old newspaper reports. Many of which are online. They're a real treasure trove. They're absolutely wonderful, and you know, you can find them on Google, and you start to read the match reports, and you know, some of the match report I read about the West Ham Celtic game. You know, style adopted by English and Scottish footballers. Despite the heavy ground, Celtic gave a fine exhibition of a close passing game with Gallagher and Cassidy, and you see it and you think Gallagher, Patsy Gallagher, and you know, when you read contemporaneous reports like that, you're right, Jason, you get a sense of actually what it's like to be there. And that's the sort of thing, I think, where you read a history book that's written now, it's one person's interpretation of history, but written in the current style. And there really is nothing like reading a book, or, as I say, a newspaper article from the time. And actually seeing how people viewed it at the time. I'd love to hear social media at the time. That would be great. I'd love to put social media in the 1890s.
Folk don't bother about absolutely nothing, you know.
Aye.
What did he sing there? I'm going to report him. Did anybody hear that? I'm offended, sitting in my piss.
Well, the first couple of games when Jimmy McGrory didn't score, get him to.
Exactly. We would actually have a podcast today. I don't think he brings enough to the team.
We missed
He's
it.
where? The Garden Gad? Oh, punt him.
I know, the good and the bad. But I spent the time was when Tommy Johnson scored the goal against St Mirren. He scoffed it. We won the league that day, and we ended up in the Garden Gad. Minded the big street party. 15,000 on the street.
Big flag.
Absolutely brilliant. But if there's an area of Scotland that epitomises Celtic, it's the Garden Gad, and obviously Tommy Burns as well. You talk about local heroes and guys like Tommy Burns. He's you'll know this better than me, but he's potentially the guy who was born closest to the stadium that made it big with the club. I don't know, Jim, but he couldn't be far away.
I don't know. I remember actually somebody. I think there was a thread in the CelticGraves.com about that. Who was actually born closest to the ground? No, there's a project. There's a project for somebody who was born closest to the ground. But
But I think obviously being a player, being a manager, and being a Celtic statesman for so many years, he's definitely. He must be. He's the most famous that's born.
The most significant, absolutely.
And it's like, see, the ultimate quote in anything relating to Celtic is him after the Centenary Cup final. And he's standing in the park.
Talking Jim Blythe.
And they put the mic in front of him. Yep. And it's about wee John Paul. It's up at the hospital. I'll be up to see you. And it's they're the greatest in the world. It's for them because they're there and they're always there. And God bless every single one of them. And I just urge any Celtic fan to search for Tommy Burns' clip on. Everybody must have seen it. Search for Tommy Burns' clip on YouTube after the Centenary Cup final and try not to cry when you're watching it.
Yep. And when he says it, the camera pans into the crowd, and I was there. I dare say you were there, Jason.
By the way, see mine and Harper's good mate Jock O'Connor. Jock's actually standing on one of the barriers with his face painted green, white and gold with a yellow jumper on it, waving a tricolour.
Fantastic. For me, that's what makes the image. You've got Tommy's voice and he's talking about them, and the camera just pans, and it's bedlam. It's very happy bedlam, but it is complete bedlam, and just hearing Tommy especially talking over that, I think you're right. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and I defy anybody not to have a tear in their eye when they're listening to that.
Jason, I never knew Jock was in that clip. You never told me that before.
Aye, Jock's
I'll have to go and have a look at that again. I never knew he was in that. I mean, I'm there and all, but I'm not in the clip.
Aye, Jock's here. Texter. Excuse me, he'll tell you exactly what minute it is and stuff like that. he's there. I've been in newspaper clippings with Jock as well. Me and him on the main stand once. Next thing on the front page of the Sunday Mail or something happened, and me and him were standing up. And it's like the other main stand because everybody's quite low, and it's me and him two were standing up more in the paper as well. So Jock's been, and they get into the. Maybe I shouldn't mention this on here, but he got into the UEFA Cup final in a wheelchair.
Oh my God!
That's another story.
Oh, we saying about the rich history.
That's it.
Oh Jesus Christ! You just outed him there. Here, you were on the front cover of a newspaper.
What's that?
You were on the front cover of a newspaper, right?
No, it's a back page. It's sports. I've been in a few front covers like that. There we go. So, John, while you're on, what about get back to the history? What about the present day, and what about the weekend? How do you feel, mate? Are you thinking a wee bit apprehensive after Saturday up in Inverness, or do you think we'll take care of them, no bother?
I think we will. I mean, the pitch is the one thing this season that's really got to me. Some of the pitches we've played on, they've been a disgrace, and I think the pitch at Inverness was another one. Then again, we don't know. We could turn up at Hampden, and Hampden could be a shambles again. So fingers crossed. If the pitch is all right, I think we'll take care of them. I really do. We weren't the greatest at the weekend, but I honestly think we've got enough to take care of them. And maybe there was a wee bit of complacency with, the lead we had, thinking, we're going to go 10 points clear here. or 7 in a game in hand. Maybe there was a wee bit of complacency crept in. It wasn't the greatest performance, but I remember the second half against the team for the south of Glasgow in the semi-final. We weren't great in that second half, and I said, it's because we were trying to avoid injury. And I think maybe some of the players in the second half at the weekend, maybe they were thinking, look, let's just get this over and done with, get away from here, and work towards beating Kilmarnock tomorrow night and winning this weekend. Maybe there was a wee bit of that crept in. I think there's always a tendency when you've got a bit of a lead to start to think about the next game and to start to think about maybe in their minds more important matches. Because when we've been up against it, and certainly in the domestic games this season, matches we had to win, we've done it, and I think we'll take care of Inverness on Sunday. I really do. I think we'll be comfortable.
Yeah. We said exactly the same about the Inverness game. That complacency sort of creeping in. I think it's human nature. When you've got that lead and you don't need to win, you're not going to put 150% in. I just think it's human nature, and they do need to win on Sunday. Sunday's a level playing field. They've all tasted winning a cup final at Hampden, and they all know how much they love that night, and they love the celebrations, and they love the fans going mental, and they want more of that. So and Ronnie Dyer wants more of it. So I've not got any negative thoughts.
But as well as that, Jason, we need to win tomorrow night. It's one, we've been talking.
Yeah, I know.
We're talking for, God, is that enough? But we need to win tomorrow night, or it's 5 points and get into if by some terrible hand of fate that was dealt tomorrow night we lost, it's only 5 points. So we need to take care of business tomorrow night in the Park as well.
But I can't believe we skipped the morning night with the Foodbank collection. So I'll be quite happy to help you after we do the collection, help you load the vans up. I'll be quite happy to walk in for us to have a 3-0 lead.
Likewise, mate.
There won't be any complaints there, mate. There won't be any at all. There won't be any at all.
Boys, I need to bid you good night. It's been a pleasure talking to you all again, Jim.
Absolutely. Pleasure for us.
I'm going to dig out that video.
I can tell you, Jim, all the tweets and the messages we're getting, everybody's absolutely loving listening to you. You talking, you're always great when you come on, and the stories and the history of the club. And maybe this is something that we can maybe talk to you about and do something more regular.
Aye, well, that'll have to be negotiated with my wife first, who stood at the door giving me dirty look. So
mine's had just come in and rattling about the cutlery and
that. She needs to lurk a bit more. He needs to lurk.
Aye, we're all used to reading the signals then, boys. Aye. Right, much appreciated.
Speak to you tomorrow, mate. I'll be there about the back of 5, alright?
Brilliant. I'll see you after.
Thanks,
nice one. Thanks very much, boys. Good night.
Good night, mate.
Hail.
Tell me you couldn't listen to Jim all night.
Good stuff, eh?
Brilliant.
I'm going to hassle him until he's talked into doing some sort of history podcast on a regular basis. The stuff he could go into with just individual seasons or individual players. I just think it would be phenomenal.
I know. And it's guys like that. That's the thing that I lap up. From a personal point of view, the history podcasts were the best thing ever. I'm going to go back. That's me. I'm going to go back because I'm finding I'm not really listening to many podcasts now. I listen to an Everton one for half an hour. I listen to a couple of HailHailMedia ones, but they're not getting many TikTok ones of that anymore now. So that's about it. A couple of BBC ones, BBC World News ones, and that's about me. And then a Northern Soul one. So they're a shit now. SNY ones are crap. I do listen to a couple, but but they've not been doing it for a wee while.
A couple of weeks.
No one for a couple of weeks, but I do listen to those. But I would love to. But I'm going to go back and troll through the history.
I have to actually get in touch with Shanghai and start putting the pressure on Mr. Wigan to get the final episode done.
Aye.
Which he says he almost has done.
I think we need to, it's not just put the pressure, we need to start threatening him and stuff like that.
Aye. Well, he's probably got the Yakuza on his side, so.
Aye.
I've
I've got a couple of contacts over there, I could get him a wee visit.
If people want to start, no, just...
I'll get Ding Junweir on me, he says.
Hey, listen, he's at Twitter handle at Chris Lostboy, so if you want to start battering him with 100 feet.
Aye, that would be appreciated. He's got one episode to go. I think it was a double dunter he was doing. But he's
just not almost done, to be fair. Like,
see, the thing is, it's hardly a history podcast because it's the most up to date one. He's kind of done the history one.
Any longer, he's going to have another decade to do. Like,
aye, if he doesn't do it quick, he'll really show more work. Right, the timelines are moving.
See, we're getting on for time here, right? I need to do a wee apology, right?
Sad Hulk music, no?
To followers of the HomeBhoys Twitter. On Friday I was and Joe told me for a couple of drinks. I was in Swords, North County, Dublin, and I was with a guy from my work.
I can't believe you did this.
Called Edgy, who's a bit of...
I don't even know about this.
He's a bit of a doppelganger for Davy Provan.
But Davy Provan, like, right now.
So, like, if you glance...
That's Davy Provan.
That could be Davy Provan, like, no? So, Davy Provan now, how he looks now, like, no?
Not Davy Provan back in the day. Like,
so anyway, he gets a picture of it, and he's got a Celtic polo shirt on it, just to make it bit. So he gets a picture of Hedgie, right? And I puts it up on our Twitter. In the pub in Swords with Davy Provan here. He's willing to answer any of your questions, hashtag Ask Provan. And I have to say, I got a fair few questions and we were answering them. Apologies to Sparko, does the match reports on HailHailMedia, and the Invisibles. He was one of the first to bite. People were asking if we should sign John Guidetti, and I'm asking him, and he's giving answers. I'm sending replies, and I started to feel a wee bit, this is going to be a wee bit bad, like, so I went on for about an hour. Anyway, it's just a wee bit of fun. I hope they took any offence to it.
I seen it, I was like, oh no.
Listen to this show, but now you better know you're going to get some fucking nonsense.
To be fair to Jim at the end there, Jim did agree with our summations of the game at the weekend and how Celtic have been playing, so there you go. So, and Jim's a learned man, you know, so maybe we're kind of half sensible.
We may know what's going on.
Right, listen, we need to wrap this up because I'm in the doghouse.
Fat Club.
Fuck Fat Club.
Aye, fuck Fat Club.
Fat Club will come back next week.
Right. Good and bad, we're doing that quick.
Real quick, aye. Good and bad. Go, Jason, your bad is obviously the fact you have to go, real quick.
My bad, just think Inverness with the Celtic fans not got into the game. And that was shit. And they shouldn't have been in the league anyway, so my bad is Inverness been in the league.
Harper, you're bad.
Jason, just check the wee thread there. I put the picture up again. My bad is not going to see the game tomorrow night. It's a bit of a bummer for us. We can't obviously go to the game. We can't see the game because Champions League. I don't see why Champions League should affect Celtic fans around our club, to be fair. That's my bad.
So it makes you feel any better, I'll be there, right?
But do you know what? There's good Wi-Fi and all that at Celtic Park.
I'll be your eyes and ears.
You could Skype the game from your phone to me.
That's true, yeah.
You just stand there Skyping the game.
Aye, like, for a video wise.
Aye.
I may try it.
Bring a very long charger.
Imagine that.
Text me and see. Text me, remind me.
I'll jump in.
Because it'll be that high up in my agenda things to do as soon as I get to Celtic Park tomorrow, but there you go. I'll wear one of the miners' helmets and tape the phone to the top of it. That's it as well.
Exactly, that's perfect.
So that you're following the ball.
Well, it depends.
What's the cameras you get? Go cams, was it? A GoPro cam.
Actually, you know what? I just don't talk to anybody. Just keep staring at the pitch.
Aye.
We'll see everything. My bad. I don't even know if I have a bad. I don't want to bring it down. I want to mention that girl. It's that girl from Cork who's is missing in Glasgow.
I never clicked into that. I seen that just before we came on air there. What is it? I can't.
It's fallen since yesterday. Right?
Just went missing on like Saturday night, was it?
What was she over in Glasgow for?
I have no
She
idea.
lives in Glasgow. She's a student.
Right, fucking hell, man.
24-year-old for Cork, left the nightclub.
Hasn't been seen since.
What the hell?
Seen my guy, but they spoke to the guy. He's been cleared right now, so they just don't know what's happening. It doesn't look great.
No, it doesn't look good. But,
Oh my God! So thoughts and prayers there, and here's hoping.
absolutely.
Up safe and well.
So good, Jason. All the good. You're good.
Good. I think good. Obviously, has got to go to Jim. Jim coming on the show tonight, and the great work that he's put in. And he's not the guy that would bib into any self praise, but he's the driving force behind what's happening at Celtic Park tomorrow. And just hopefully the fans turn up in their numbers and contribute to the Foodbank collection, which I'm sure everybody will, because they are fans like no other.
Harper, yourself?
Good.
Yes, of course, good. Yeah.
Excuse me. I just have to say the same. The Rights podcast,
Aye.
absolutely fantastic. I was a wee bit knackered before we were starting. I've not been sleeping great the last few days. I was bollocks, and I was like, I don't know if I can be bothered with this tonight, but it's been absolutely fantastic. There's been a few people saying one of the best shows yet, or certainly in a long time, which probably says more about us. So I have to just say, Jim, I could listen to him all night, and his wife's going to have to just get this negotiating done because we got me Jim Blythe.
Aye. I can't argue any of that. Just the whole idea of Jim coming on tonight telling us, because there's no talking to Jim without going, like, listening to him for ages and going, oh yeah, keep talking, Jim, keep telling me stuff. But also tomorrow night's, collection. It's fantastic to kind of to see, because it's not everywhere, even though it should be, and it needs to be everywhere. And the fact that we can have a guy like Jim come on and talk about it, and we can promote it and be part of it in some small way, whatever, it just makes you feel good. So therefore it's my good thing this week. The general spirit of the show, I suppose. So I'm saying.
Definitely.
So that's us done. Jason, you can go back and get a spanking.
And probably due back. Mr. Larkin, is he due back in time for another show next week?
He's not coming back. I don't think he's coming
Oh,
back.
yes. Oh, he's coming
Yeah,
back.
he'll come back. He's like, nah, I'm done in Australia. Living the high life.
Yeah, he's too many routes here.
That's true, yeah. Anyway, so we...
So geez, nobody's back, no?
No, nobody knows what Paul Larkin does. He's like Batman.
How long has he been away? He was gone for 3 weeks, so...
He might be, but I reckon he might be back next week for the show. I reckon he's about 2 and a bit weeks in, I think.
Jesus, time moves fast. So, what's us done tonight? We're going to play it with the 9 Clicks, who we met, Harper, at the Kano dance, yeah?
That's right. Is it Johnny, his name? Oh my God, it's terrible. We mentioned it last week. I had the CD. So it's a 6-track CD. There's really good stuff, like, been listening to it. So we've uploaded one of the songs. Unfortunately, we don't know what the songs are called. It just says track 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So
Maybe this is a really cool way they just called the songs that.
This is called track 6. It's like a Dave Matthews Band. They just numbered
Somebody
the songs.
should do that. So, I mean,
Somebody has already. The Dave Matthews Band did that.
I'm ahead of the rest of the world.
Loads of their songs are just called 41, 52, whatever. So,
I'm not ahead of the rest of the world.
Done.
We're going to play with one of the songs, track 3.
Alright, folks, it's been a long HomeBhoys.
And if you want to follow the 9 Clicks on Twitter, it's @clicks the.
@clicks the.
Yeah.
Right. So that's us done, folks. Hail, hail. Good night, Jason.
Hail, hail, and good night, Jason.
Harper.
Good night, God bless. Hail, hail.
Hail, folks. Thanks for listening. Hopefully have the iTunes thing very, very soon. And take it easy. Hail, hail. Good luck.
Let's go, Mets.
Happy day.
Happy Everton.
Yeah. Keep going. Keep going. We're not half an hour to go. Fuck's sake. Hail, hail. Good luck.
miles away. Go on a holiday and live weary from it all. And the writings on the wall singing. No need to pack. We're sick of the same old crack. We just head right out of town. And you won't see us around anymore. Give me some time to make time, so we might feel okay. So we might feel okay. And they say we haven't seen them for some time. I hear they're doing fine. We'll be doing fine. I'm going somewhere. I'm going somewhere. I belong with the things I love. I'll take you somewhere. I'll take you somewhere. It's higher than the sun. All is said and done. It'll be okay. Okay. Head miles away. Still miles away. Too much to say, but I'm sick and tired of this town. So I'm going under the ground and I'll fade to black. I'm not coming back.